And Jon Stewart, to me, he's just not a naturally funny man. He doesn't come across to me as someone who's got like natural.
He had his own like talk show where apparently he was funny in America.
Hello and welcome back to the only wrestling podcast that exclusively rebooks, reviews and reimagines the worst of wrestling's past. We are Better Call Creative, and as ever, joining me to my left on the kickoff show is Jack Chance.
Hello.
And joining me not on the kickoff show, it's Sam Chance.
Hello.
And my name, by the way, is Ben Chance.
Hello.
That wasn't quite as fluid as I thought it would be. But today we are checking out our annual summer tradition, and we are clinging on by our fingernails to the summer at this point. It is the Summerslam, but from 2016. Have you enjoyed any of this, Sam?
I don't know if we watched it at the time.
I
don't know.
I've definitely watched this once,
I
probably.
I know this all long after I've moved out, so I don't know if I watched it here or not. I don't know.
Mate, did you move out because of SummerSlam?
I actually moved out in June.
So there was a life event happening around this time. In that this happened on the 21st of August, 2016, and I got married on the 19th of August, 2016. 2 days before this, I got married. So
you couldn't get married on this day because you wanted to watch Summerslam.
Yeah, of course. That's what I told her.
Is that where your honeymoon was?
That's exactly what I told Sarah. I says, look, we can't get married on Sunday because, I've got to watch that 12-man tag kickoff. Yeah.
We can't get married on Saturday because of the Albion. We can't get married on Sunday because of SummerSlam.
Jack, have you enjoyed going back 6 years and checking out SummerSlam past?
Some of it, and some of it not.
Did at one point your brains fall out watching?
Well, I watched it all in one sitting, so yes,
yeah.
my brain was
4 hours in one sitting.
Sam
didn't even watch
the kickoff.
Well, the 6 show. Do you watch 6 hours in one sitting?
Yeah,
Sam didn't watch the kickoff show, but did you watch it in one sitting?
I did watch the
4 hours in one sitting.
Did you watch it yesterday?
I actually watched it the day before we were meant to
record.
Yeah, blame the hooligans for that. But yes. I watched it in about 5 sittings. I think it was,
did it one match at a time?
Oh yeah. Every time, between every match, I had a shower. But yes, we're going back 6 years. I'm gonna waste your time telling you the UK number one because I don't know what it is. It was apparently a song called Major Lazer by Cold Water. See, I didn't even know the song is called Cold Water. And it's by an artist called Major Lazer, featuring Justin Bieber. Never heard of it. Sounds racked. It's probably playing now. But in the box office was the first Suicide Squad.
Oh, the shit one.
Yeah, the shitty one. Well. Yeah, the one where you had, we can't name him anymore. That bloke who slapped.
Yeah.
Chris Benoit.
Chris Rock's heel. Anyone who said that it was a fake slap as well should know better because he's dead shot and he don't miss. Yeah. So it had to be real. And it didn't have King Shark. It had Killer Croc, and it wasn't as good.
Yeah, it was bad shit.
King of Fights, 14 was released on the PS4. Have you ever played
King of Fights?
King of Fights apparently is what they call it in Japan. I think it's King of Fighters in this country, isn't it? 14. Have you ever played any of them?
No.
No.
Never played them.
No, nor me.
Sorry.
And one day after my wedding, and one day before this, I did go to the Albion.
Yeah, that was your honeymoon, boy.
Well, not with the wife though. And
I thought you went.
no, she chose. No, she chose not to
She
go.
was going to go, but we took Dad.
Yeah. I honeymooned with my father at the Albion to watch them lose 2-1 to Everton. So,
I knew it was Everton.
It wasn't great.
Happy
How did
wedding.
Liverpool get on?
Well, they lost 2-0 to Burnley, obviously.
Oh, fuck me.
It wasn't a very good day.
Crisis Club. Crisis.
Welcome to marriage.
Yes, welcome to marriage. This is what you have to look forward to. So, yeah, I mean, the world was a deep and dark place. But don't worry, because at the Barclays Centre, they're starting at 3:30 in the afternoon for SummerSlam. It is a 2-hour kick-off show hosted by Renee, and I'm going to make it 2 hours worth of notes. So settle yourself in. Booker T, Lita, and Jerry the King Lawler
Is this
on
the
the
show
panel.
with No, that's WrestleMania. Ryback beat Kalisto.
Yeah, I think he'd gone by this point, right?
Right back at them.
Had he got?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the Hardys 8. The 6 men 8. No. Or is that the Mania act? Hardys 8 come back.
Yeah, I'll fill you in. So
Right.
I haven't obviously paid any attention to the little
The
blurbs
talking,
and the
no.
talking. There was a promo with Jericho who apologised to Todd Phillips for getting his name wrong and calling him Philip. Well, sorry, they corrected themselves because they call him Tom,
They keep calling him Seth names.
and then
all the
they
time.
call him Philip. He said Jericho says he became a certified G for the low price of $89.99. But Kevin Owens has left the certificate in catering. Jericho says that he says you can't. I'll tell you what you can't teach. You can't teach chemistry. And Kevin goes, well, you can. He says, I got 96 in it at school. And they promised to ruin Enzo and Cass. And this is when Jericho is sort of testing out what his new phrase is going to be.
Yeah.
This is he's going to get it. Jericho's so good, man. 26 minutes in, we are at that point, by the way, and we go to a very filling up arena as the Vaudevillains have lost all what made them cool in NXT and come out to a very, very bland theme. They're basically just sort of like evil,
Old-timey
timey
evil
evil
people
cat.
that took away like.
But wouldn't
the
Vince have
special
liked the
intro.
original gimmick, considering he always goes back to
well,
God
I
knows
would have
hell?
thought he'd have loved it, but obviously not. JBL does do a nice job talking up SummerSlam's tag history as Breezango come out. They do get a pop. They turn face not long after this.
I think they start doing the fashion falls, don't they?
Yeah,
that's
that's
what turns them face.
I did put that Sam would rejoice, but he didn't watch it. So Sam would have rejoiced had he have seen the entrance of the Hype Bros. They are out. This is basically spot which one of these teams is not as over as the others, as they're followed by the Usos and American Alpha.
I'm
Gable.
glad I don't watch it now. If, Usos are on and JBL's on commentary.
Well,
He don't
he
do it.
doesn't do it.
He
and they do
They
the
do
spot,
it live, yeah,
but he
they
doesn't
don't
do it.
I don't say it for the pre-show.
Not for the price, the price of free. Gable starts off with Tyler. He gets a nice pop and a chant. It's pretty by the numbers start. Face take their turns to get some hits in. The Hype Bros hit their double team dropkick suplex. Spills into a smoz. Top rope clothesline by American Alpha. Zach plays the face in peril. He's cut off. Victor, who is tossed onto his team, which allows the tease of the hot tag. Connor is taken down with a neck breaker as Rick Rude gets name checked by JBL.
So this is a 12-man tag.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot goes on basically.
Yeah.
Hot tag by Jimmy Uso. The crowd, though, I know there isn't a lot there, but like this is a hype match, but them doing it to no one. So the crowd's dead. He gets the hot tag and no one reacts. It's a nice
No one
insecurity. Jason Jordan, really impressive belly to belly in his exploders. This is basically what tends to happen. Typical spot where there's multiple finishes and big moves. JBL questions who's legal. No fucking knows. Flying Usos is hit.
JBL needs to work for AEW.
Yeah, exactly. Flying Usos is hit, but JBL isn't bothered to call it. I don't think he cares about this match. Neither do we. The only thing that they do well is that they sort of build something from it. in that Jey Uso makes a blind tag after American Alpha have sort of won the match, gets a big splash, they win the match, and there's a sort of tease that American Alpha and the Usos are going to have a little bit of a feud. Jack, as the one who watched it, did you enjoy that match?
It was, it was okay for what it was. It was, it wasn't ever going to be anything brilliant because no one's there. So why go all out and do something special? But everybody got the shit in, and you've got the tease of the Usos heel turn, which will happen.
Yes.
Not long down the line.
And they needed it,
They needed it because they was getting booed. American Alpha was the shiny new toy. People was fed up of Usos in paint. So I think turning them heel was the right thing to do. They teased it well. I know I don't think anything happens because Heath and Rhino win the tag.
Yeah, because they announced the SmackDown tag.
This is these six, and then Heath and Rhino and the Headbangers.
Which we'll be back for. Make no mistake about it. Maybe sometime in September.
So
we'll be watching
they built all of these up, and none of them won. But there you go.
Well, I thought it was a bit formulaic, but I do like at the very least that they were interested enough to at least build something from it. It was formulaic. I thought American Alpha looked good. Vince, because Vince loves an American. I know he probably looks at Gable just because he's a midget. Short. But he loves an American gimmick, and they kind of play that without being really offensively American. They're so fucking over. I mean, when we went, Jesus, they were so over. Anyway,
that was against the Revival, were they?
Yes, it was. It was the Revival.
Thing yet there was the Revival.
No, there was because I remember the chant being which one's Dash and which one's Dawson. Nobody knew.
That was new at that point.
Yeah,
but you could tell that was good. Baron Corbin pops in to have a chat about his feud with Kalisto because that's been pulled. I think they cover this by saying he was injured. Who knows? He might have been pulled for a drug test because I think a few of them was around this time.
Or was he having a go with the doctor about concussions? No, that's when he won Money in the Bank.
No, is that right? I don't know.
Yeah, because he's an ex-football player, and they had a doctor talk to him about it, and he kind of played it down, and Corbin shouted up against him, and they punished him for it.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Having him lose.
Shave that fucking hair. James Bond Cesaro is interviewed. He does a very respectful promo about basically just looking forward to the best of 7 feud with Sheamus. Suppose he's a face in the feud, so we'll let him off. Cole, Graves and Corey take over as the Dudley Boys walk out, and the nostalgia act 1 year on is not quite cutting it because no one cares. Definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, you can see Vince does not quite understand what Neville is.
No, he never did.
Yeah, it's so clear that he has no idea.
His purple cape?
Yeah, it's his purple cape time. And he's teaming with Sami Zayn. The commentary team
Vince
as well.
doesn't understand Sami Zayn.
I wonder. No, definitely not. I wonder if they were teasing and thinking about a Bubba Bully Ray singles run because they're teasing.
They'd talked about it before that he was going to do it because G-Von was going to retire Warrior. But I think it was the Be a Star campaign that derailed it.
Yeah, Vince said he'd love to do it, but obviously because of the Be a Star, so Vince.
Well, they're talking up all the miscommunication that's been leading to this match, basically.
Yeah.
There's quick tags, and Neville uses Sammy as a springboard to corkscrew onto Devon, and is then launched by Zayn onto Bubba. Bubba uses his power to lay down Neville. Devon hits his spinning elbow. After the break, there is breaks, annoyingly. The Dudleys are on top. Neville needs a hot tag. Bubba does some smack talk to Neville. We keep calling him English boy or something like that.
Go on, English boy! Go on, English boy!
But elbows him down. He misses his senton, and Sammy is tagged in. Blue Thunder Bomb, but Bubba stops the pin. The inverted 3D is hit and gets a 2. Now we get the miscommunication spot as Neville escapes a 3D. Bubba clotheslines Devon, and Neville hits the red arrow to win the match on Bubba, quite surprisingly. Quite short and sweet, Jack. Anything?
Yeah, it's fine. It's just a Raw match, that's all it is, which is going to be on kick-off. I don't know whether Zayn and Neville, they're a decent team, but I don't know whether there should be a team. They should
Well,
have spots on the roster.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think
there
there's
was on
anything
NXT.
in history that sort of means there would, unless you're going to spin this into their feud, and it feels. That's the thing that I would say is that you've got the nostalgia
I
act,
think they ever did.
who's losing, but it feels like it's their storyline. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because
they just feel like you could have inserted any team to beat them.
It could have been any team to beat them.
Story's Bubba and Devon.
In which case, to me, you've got 12 teams in the opener that are teams that could have at the very least got a rub for beating the Dudley Boys.
Well, of course, on SmackDown.
This is after
of course.
the
You'd have to have had Goldust and R-Truth.
Golden Truth.
The Golden Truth. Was a thing.
Did they not realise and recognise that Raw didn't have much of a tag division then at the end?
But they had the tag titles.
Who was the tag? Oh, we know the tag.
Yeah,
they're on the show in a minute.
Yes.
So yeah, about the what? Yes, yeah. Right, more hype. So we go to we go to the best of 7 series main event of the pre-show.
Why was this on the show?
Well, I imagine all of our rebookings might feature this match.
You've got 4 hours, but there's a lot of shit on the show.
There's a lot of trimming that you haven't put it on.
No.
Well, you just asked a question.
I stuck with draft.
Well,
This is
the draft.
Just,
You mean you just made it a SmackDown exclusive SummerSlam?
no, I haven't.
It's nice knowing what this leads to with Sheamus and Cesaro, which I think is nice in history. And it does feel important on a pre-show. This match,
at least
it's given a hype package.
It's take just a match.
Yeah.
At least they've got to give it the idea of the best of 7. I know it does end up in a draw, which is funny.
Well, there's a question
They
in
had
it.
the draw and finally just went, you're a tag team now. Is that what happens then? If you have these series and it ends in a draw,
You have to be a tag team, for years.
Jeez.
Big moves early on as Cesaro teases his big move and hits a double stomp, but he's caught with a right hand on a dive. The Rock apparently has tweeted in, so that gets at least a minute's worth of commentary.
Oh my God, it's The Rock!
Yeah, Sheamus tries these clubs, but
What
Cesaro
did he tweet? He's
stops him.
SummerSlam.
Basically, it was that. Like, I'm looking forward to watching SummerSlam, and it's like Cole just is elated by the fact that.
Holy shit!
Oh my God, he watches. He's watching the fucking pre-show.
Cesaro is sent into the post. Sheamus has control, working on the arm of Cesaro, but Cesaro does deadlift his way out to show his power. Sheamus hits a sort of tilt-to-world as we go to break. Now, after the break, the Irish curse backbreaker gets a 2. As a nice spot as both men try a suplex and then crash onto the floor. This is where Cole, quite prophetically, questions what would happen if it was a double count-out. And then Corey goes, would it be a draw? And it'd be 0-0. And then it's like, well, you wouldn't have a draw.
Byron goes, it'd be the best of 6. And they all shit on him, but that is what it happens.
Byron knew.
Byron booked this.
Yeah. Cesaro does a Super Cena dive in at 9, which Sam, had you watched, you would not have appreciated the dive in.
Oh, that
He's beaten outside, he dives
Dead
in.
at 9, and then
All of a sudden
he's up.
I'm sure that happened again.
Well, Cena's in a match later, so he probably did. Big European uppercuts, and Cesaro gets mad, hitting loads of his own European uppercuts. The crowd wake up a little bit as Cesaro drop kicks Sheamus off the top turnbuckle. Superplex gets a near fall for Cesaro. Neutralizer is teased, but it goes into white noise by Sheamus for a 2. Brett Rope rolling Samoan for a 2 as well. Sheamus calls for the bro kick, but runs into Cesaro's boots and eats a really big lariat clothesline. There's a nice launch springboard sort of crossbody for a 2, which is really nice. The crowd now start to get behind Cesaro. Swing time for Sheamus into a sharpshooter, but Sheamus makes the ropes. Cesaro tries again, but he's sent shoulder first into the ring post and bro kicked. And Sheamus, surprisingly, as the heel, gets the win in the best of 7. Has there ever been a best of 7 or a best of 5 or a best of 3 where the heel did with the first? But yeah,
go ahead.
I thought it built really, really well. Pure chemistry these two have got, and God, it should have been highlighted more because you've got to make. If best of 7 just becomes like oh, that's going to be on telly, then you lose all luster. To me, you've got to like make it. This is a big thing, so it should have been on the card. Jack,
I enjoyed it. I thought it was very good. I thought they had good chemistry. I know, there is a lot of thing about internet darlings and everything like that, but I don't understand how they never saw Cesaro as a top star. Cesaro's always got the reactions. Well, he always knew how to work.
He's as big as Sheamus, and Sheamus has got the belt 3 or 4 times in his career.
He just come off a world title run at the end of 2015.
So I agree with you. And didn't he win the belt after this, or? No, he never won it since. But for me, I completely agree with you. I mean, I can't think of many people in real recent times that you've looked at and thought, well, that is a real poor miss.
Yeah,
like
they dropped the ball with him.
How he became Dolph Ziggler sort of level. Like, he's so much better in terms of what they look for a champion, and he can talk.
Well, he can literally, and he can talk 5 languages as well. So
well, exactly.
He can, go into different markets for you and do all that.
NXT Europe.
Yodel for me.
He's another one that I think I don't know what Triple H's thoughts are, but I know what William Regal's thoughts were.
Yeah, I think if Triple H had him there, he would be positioned as a top star.
And he's what I said about Bobby Lashley earlier when we was talking, that I think he literally is so good that he can open a show, he can be in a tag team, he can be mid-card, or you can shove him in a feud with Roman Reigns and he's credible enough that he can win the belt. And he can have a title run. There's no doubt about that. And I think there's a lot of people in wrestling that think that you can do that, and you can't really do that with them. So yeah, I agree. Anyway, joining us on the show now is Sam. Hello, Sam.
Hello.
But before that, joining us is Flow Rida. Who with me? Did you enjoy Flow Rida getting some WWE love? He definitely needed a lot of rub from WWE, doesn't he, Flow Rida? Because he doesn't get a lot of,
Does he still exist? I mean, he's a thing then.
Only in WWE.
Does he exist now?
Well, he's the only one that they don't. I mean, they probably don't pay the royalty rights to keep using it because they just think, well, he don't care, does he?
Fucking Flow Rida.
Are you friends with The Rock?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably.
Maybe 28.
Right, yeah. So 2 hours done.
Good feeling.
I did put 2 hours done. I'm off to have a shower, and I think I literally did have a shower at that point.
Yeah, but then the first people to come out, I think you might have needed another one.
Oh, you might have needed another one.
I had a yacht. I remember.
I'll tell you one thing though. This is what really made me think, I don't like this kind of WWE. You know how they always do the packages and it makes the event feel big, even if the focus isn't necessarily on a feud, which I can understand why. There's nothing hot enough on this card to go, that's Rock Austin or that's, Brock Rock or whatever. I can understand them maybe not focusing, but that promo to start just felt like putting over New York City. It was like, and it felt like an advert that would have been on American TV for... Just shite. It was one of the shittest build packages that I've ever seen.
Anything on the card, it was hyping.
Yeah. It didn't even feel like he was trying to put over the history of SummerSlam, which you could have done. Like, there's so much history. No, it's just like, we're in New York, baby!
I mean, video packages and what you use to sell to make things seem bigger than a lot bigger than they are.
Yeah.
But they're just like the city.
Yeah, exactly. That's the sell. The fact that you are in New York. I mean, what?
Vince loves it,
But I'll tell you one thing. If you didn't watch that package and didn't know that they were in New York, you're going to fucking find out. Yes. Enzo and Cass are out, and Enzo is dressed as a New York Knicks baseball player. I quite liked his gear. He's a bit fucking hokey and goofy.
Baseball player?
I know the
New York Knicks and basketball.
It's the Yankees. Oh, that's it, the Yankees. New York.
Come on, Ben. Tell you what's the package. New York, baby.
It's all about the print stripes.
That's it. Sorry, he's dressed as a New York Yankee baseball player. You are correct. I'm not up on my American sports. I know you hate everything Enzo, and to be honest, I'm not going to defend Enzo to you. But I quite like because it is.
I'm getting at the time
just a little.
He's over. When we went.
He was over when we went.
He had a brilliant run.
He came at the right time and then fucked off because it was boring now. But you can't teach
by this
that.
point, it's if you watched NXT all the time, so okay,
But I think because a lot of the fans don't always watch,
haven't watched it.
I think they just thought, he's one of them that we should enjoy. You can't teach that.
He's one of them.
You can't teach that it's chanted along with. And in fairness, I know you hadn't watched the 2 hours pre-show. We had. The crowd needed to be rehyped.
Yeah.
So sending Enzo out does make sense. You can't doubt how over they are with this audience. Vince would definitely would say the only reason they're over though is look at the size of that bastard.
Look at him, I love him.
You can't teach it.
Notorious B.I.G. gets a load of love as they put over the American Dream. Enzo, I mean, he's like an ADHD puppy, isn't he? He's constantly moving around. It's like,
you just want to slap him and grab the baby and say, stay still.
But you cannot argue, at this point at the very least, the job that he does getting the crowd on side, because I don't care. Enzo Amore looks and talks like a fucking heel. You would hate him, and it don't matter. He just seemingly has got this sort of ability to just make you smile and go,
he's got so much charisma and he's great. But
I'm going to enjoy
beating you up. The thing that makes him heel is the fact that he goes on probably too long.
Well, God. Promo. I mean, I love the fact, because he uses so many cliches. He talks about Frank Sinatra, he talks about fucking the Notorious B.I.G. It's like, it felt every time, okay, now we've got to the point where you're going to move on. And at the end, Corey just goes, well, he knows his cliches, doesn't he?
I think Corey Graves did bury him even on NXT.
And he does, I mean, and he also says, and all that, and he's from New Jersey. Fucking hell. But it's as good as it is, and the crowd don't leave it. Watching it as an audience member from home and also reviewing it 6 years after.
And from Dudley.
It felt like he fucking went on.
Yeah, it's just like, sure.
We're not from New York.
Talking?
Yeah. I love Obnoxious Jericho with his scarf. I mean, what a creation that is. He's just brilliant. And then he's followed out by Owens as well.
Owens gets a big pop, don't he?
Well, I mean, Owens, he's world champion though, isn't he? In a month's time, so
2 weeks.
You can tell he's money, and he's just complete money. The heels jump and mock Enzo early on. There's a stupid idiot chant as Enzo gets taken down by Jericho. He's proper scrappy do, isn't he? He's proper little scrappy do.
Did you notice his attire though when he takes his overalls down and he drops? And it said something like New York, and it had the poop emoji.
Yeah,
he always the same shit.
No, he always
shit.
has the
Little poop emoji.
Regardless.
That
Does
was
he shit himself? Is that what's happening?
I don't know what
it was definitely a sign of the time.
He's in MLW and he still has it.
Is he in MLW?
Yeah,
Is that where he's wrestling? I know he's jacked. I've seen him. Yeah, well,
is he Scooby-Doo now?
I can't see. I think that time's gone, and now Vince ain't around. I don't see them pair coming back anytime soon. But
well, there was talk of what's his name, Morrissey from the Smiths coming back, wasn't it? Big Cass, after his AEW run.
Yeah. Jericho crawls away from Big Cass, who drags in Kev. He hits Big Right's hands to Kev, double team slam onto Owens. There's a nice spot which sees Enzo launched over the top by Cass onto the heels. Jericho wrestles control with a judo kick from Brett's rope. I love Kevin Owens mocking Enzo.
The little dance
thing is brilliant. The crowd pop and just fucking love him, don't they? Owens is such a prick, though, isn't he? I mean, he's such a perfect heel because every time he does anything, he just talks smack and talks down to him. Brilliant. Enzo is the heat builder as he's isolated as a gutbuster is hit, and then Owens teases a big move, but just sort of stops and locks in a chin lock. Which even
that was brilliant.
Like, fuck you.
I did pop for that. I was already running, they just get bet.
Enzo rallies, but he's dragged to the outside to stop the tag. Jericho swats the tag away as well, and Enzo survives a top rope frog splash, which all I will say is that should have beaten him because it looked like he'd squashed the fucker. This starts to get Kevin Owens frustrated and leads to him missing his cannonball. Enzo makes the hot tag to Cass, who clears out the ring. There's an Empire elbow. Is that, I assume, New York Empire State?
Yeah.
Empire elbow and a big boot to a dive in Jericho. The rocket launcher is teased. Now, what the fuck was the name of that move? Because they don't call it the rocket launcher. They call it. What is it? Huda
wappa papa.
I heard it, and I thought, yeah, you're like that.
That's a Vince. That's a Vince creation.
Is it Hoop? There it is, or something like that. It's like that
such
kind
a
of
Vince. Oh, it's hip hop.
There it is. Owens hits his cannonball on the outside onto Kaz. Enzo hits a DDG from the top rope, which is his DDT from the top rope. But Owens blocks
you can't get annoyed that he's just come up with that. Come on.
He can. Oh, God. This finish, though. You would have loved the finish.
When I saw it, I was like,
Jesus. Yeah. So they launch him. Basically, Owens lifts Enzo over his head into a code breaker.
Meant tickets for the pop-up power bomb, but he
goes over through him. Jericho catches him in the cold breaker, but it's a bit sloppy, and it almost looks like he just literally falls head first.
Well, I think that's why he sort of stops for about a second or two
before he covers him. Because I think he might know I might have killed him. Opening
himself. Going out the ring against the vaudevillains on one show. He was trying to do something, and he caught his neck, smacked his head, and then just collapsed.
Yeah, that's right.
Silly arse.
I mean, it was. I enjoyed it. I had no real complaints. I thought actually it was the right length of time, which not all the matches on this card were.
No.
I think the heels winning is, even though I'm not always for the heels winning an opening match, I think it puts both teams over. I think if the heels had lost this, Jericho and Owens might have lost a bit of that luster.
Yeah.
And I think this is as good as Enzo and Cass ever were.
Well, I think Enzo's the type of character where he can lose most weeks and still be over because of what he does on the mic.
He's a mic character.
You keep Cass strong because he ain't taking a pin.
Yeah.
And then Jericho and Owens are very over, very entertaining, very good team.
Them the top heels.
I enjoyed it. Right opener. I thought it was a very good start to the show.
How long after this is it that they split these two?
February. Oh, you mean Cass and Enzo?
Cass and Enzo.
Yeah. Not long ago.
It was the year after.
Yeah, because the year after he fights Big Show with Enzo in the cage.
Yeah.
So it's like next June.
Because I think June is a Great Balls of Fire.
That's when he covers.
That's when he's got big ass.
Big ass, so I think it's June. I think it's
next June.
June.
Well, I think that they're a million miles away from Cass going alone, even at this point.
Yeah,
I think
he's in the title match.
Yeah, he's in the Fatal 4.
He's in the Fatal 4 the belt.
He qualifies.
I don't particularly.
I don't 7 foot, and there's no one else who's 7
You can't teach that.
He's edge test.
Well, he's 6'10".
Yeah, I think I can understand why they shoved him in in inconsequential 4-way because he win it, and it elevates him.
Yeah,
and like you say, the beauty of that is even as a tag team, he can always lose and never lose anything because Enzo takes all the falls, and Enzo's just Enzo. He's.
I mean, how much offense
he took the little shit.
Cass don't take any offense, really.
Not really. He was
when he was in, other than the cannonball on the outside into the guardrail, when he was in, he was dominating. Which I think is just sometimes the easiest booking is the right booking. Like if this was AEW, he would have took 17 super kicks from the Young Bucks and the Meltzer Driver.
He'd have done a toe pacer with Cena.
He'd have been like Luchasaurus. He'd have been doing silly kicks, spins, things he could do.
Yeah, you just don't need to do it. And like I say, you just can't teach that at the end of the day. So
do an elbow.
I enjoyed it. Sam?
I don't mind it. I quite like the tag match. It was the right opener. The finish was a bit. Yeah,
it could have gone a lot.
Could have gone a lot worse. But I, as much as I don't like Enzo or Cass, to be honest, I understood at this time. I put myself back. So okay, I'll get it. That was over, whatever. But it is right that Owens and Jericho went over.
Yeah, because I think at this point Owens and Jericho as a unit, even though they might not be quite established as a team, are a much higher level.
But more later on that somebody did the stats that Jericho and Owens in some form fought Roman Reigns on Raw for like about 2 months straight, either like 1-on-1 or.
Well, that's where Raw became, though, and he literally just rinse and repeat every week. Vince tore up every script and went back to the same one. Did they realise?
Why don't we do this?
I'll tell you one thing. Later on, I'm going to be asking you the question of LBP. In the backstage skit, we see Jon Stewart trying his comedy shit, which is terrible. Basically, he meets up with Shane and Daniel Bryan
and Foley.
And Foley. Well, he's talking smack. Oh no, it's Foley. Foley's first, isn't he?
Foley's talking with Shane and Bryan.
And Bryan. Jon Stewart walks in. They have a
kid.
Yeah, with his child. Strangely, he tells Foley off for being with Stephanie. Now, it's bad. I don't know why he hates Stephanie, but for some reason he's basically saying she's evil. Stephanie's behind him. Ha ha, he's got caught. He sort of, is all nice to her. And then the New Day come and play a trumpet.
And they eat some cereal.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. You know what I was saying earlier, that sometimes, it's not bad to have comedy writers. Sometimes they get it wrong.
Yeah,
and Jon Stewart, to me, he's just not a naturally funny man. He doesn't come across to me as someone who's got, natural
He
comedy.
had his own, talk where apparently he was funny, or in America. Apparently he was funny.
I don't believe it.
Well, it was the whole
humour
thing we
out
said
there.
the year before.
Yeah, I don't.
He obviously is a fan because he has got. He does.
Yeah.
I think he knows what he's on.
He knows what he's
doing, but
he doesn't call it Summerfest.
no. But it's just. I don't think he fits, does he really?
I
He
didn't.
should be the other side of the barricade, let's put it
And not only that, I didn't think that this skit did anything.
all
Anything.
it was them talking to Jon Stewart. This is
Let's
the
put
reason
Stephanie
for
over.
something that happens.
Yeah.
To point Stephanie over.
Well, probably, yeah.
No,
You probably arguably say that the person who comes out with anything on this is Stephanie.
No,
But
Foley ate them cereal quite well.
I don't get the Foley thing. I quite like the draft and even making it like a legitimate sport field draft. It's different to all the other things that have happened before. But I don't get these pairing things, shit. Why they needed like a GM
general manager and
a commissioner.
But I thought the commissioners were Stephanie and Shane, and the general managers
was.
But I thought the commissioner was below the general
So
manager.
did I, but who
Because
knows?
I thought,
But
okay.
the thing, all I would say, and I know NXT was a thing and stuff, but William Regal's a better on-screen authority figure than
he only come on when he needed
Johnny Saint.
he should have been. William Regal.
Has anybody told him NXT UK
He should have
shot?
been William Regal and Johnny Saint. I agree with you.
Yeah,
And
he
then it
wore
should be
it.
Adrian Street and Kendo Nagasaki. We're done with you.
We'll have rounds.
Hype package now for our women's title match, which is basically leading up to this. Sasha won the belt on Raw.
That was the style of the time.
Yes. In the build up to this, about 2 weeks before, they had this match, and Sasha beat Charlotte for the belt. There's big time entrances, and we get your big time introductions as well. And we go straight into our women's championship match. There isn't two women's titles at this point either, is there? Sasha is taking on and defending her title against Charlotte Flair. Sasha teases a quick win early on with a bank statement, but Charlotte escapes, and Charlotte goes for the figure eight, but is rolled up. So that's the start. Basically, we tease our finishes. Sasha has had the best of the opening. She is slowed though and bent over backwards on the top rope by Charlotte. There's a very, very dangerous move as Charlotte sort of just drops her on the side in a side slam on the top rope, but it looks nasty.
I think it was meant to drop her on the turnbuckle, so it just drops and stays there, but
it didn't.
Well, her legs are bright, but her head quite far enough on the other one,
so it just lands on her head.
Really sloppy. And then it goes, it probably is a little bit concussed, but she goes into a sloppy segment now where she has to rehash the gory special. Yeah. Sasha rallies but sells her back. Charlotte hits a backbreaker onto her and now starts working the body part. Sasha Hurricane Ranas, but again the figure eight is teased. Charlotte stays on top and teases a top rope crucifix, but this Hurricane Rana is amazing. Sasha hitting a Hurricane Rana to reverse the crucifix bomb. Sasha can't quite cover though, and gets a second wind with the Jenna Maraska slaps. I mean, they're better than Jenna Maraska's, but they're a bit Jenna Maraska like those slaps. I don't like that. Don't wrestle like Jenna Maraska. That's the only advice I can give you. There's a nice.
You're a wrestler, for fuck's sake.
There's a nice Brett Rope sort of crab on Charlotte. It's a bit weird, but it is nice. She lays Charlotte between the ropes and hits double knees onto the back of Charlotte. Then hits a lovely double knee dive onto Charlotte on the outside. She tries her backstabber but fails. Charlotte tries natural selection but fails, and the bank statement is locked in. Charlotte survives as the comm team talk up the back injury. Charlotte now hits natural selection, but only for a 2. She gets heelish with taunts, but is put into the bank statements again. But this time, she just, instead of escaping, rolls it into a pin, and Charlotte steals the title back. Sam, thoughts on that?
It was okay. Obviously, you can't go wrong with him, but I think they've just done it too much now.
That's the problem with the women's
division.
division.
Charlotte wins on pay-per-view, Sasha wins on Raw, that was it. And I think they still carry that on.
I think, a little bit.
Around, it goes on until Roadblock, which is in December.
Yeah.
I think, though, the opening 10 minutes or so were a little bit sloppy. I think they were just finding the feet, and obviously Sasha took that really big bump. They are probably the best 2 women's wrestlers at this point on the roster. And I think this actually does... The reason they're doing this is they know Charlotte is just a cunt. Like the crowd hate her. So what you want to do is constantly tease that Sasha's pulling away from Charlotte, and then Charlotte beats her again.
Yeah.
So I think it actually does more for Sasha to turn her heel, because Sasha is kind of a natural heel as well.
Sasha's a heel.
You know what I mean? So the way to and I think the problem is when you've got such a thin roster and they've just split them.
Well, they don't have Bailey or anything at this point. I think she comes up the night after.
Yeah, and I'll see 6 of their women later, and 2 or 3 of them are not very good. And one of them just failed a drug test and was released, weren't it? Which was why she weren't in that match.
Oh, either?
Yeah.
I don't know if she was...
I think
I love that fucking gimmick, though. I fucking love that gimmick.
Oh, when it kept coming out.
She's not here! Fuck yes. Give me that shit. Feed that into me, baby.
Definitely.
Just do that every fucking week.
Yeah. You know the heat, Steve.
But anyway, I didn't dislike the match. I think actually the first 2 matches on this card pretty solid, and I think they've actually got the timings right as well. I didn't think this dragged as some of the matches will start. Jack?
I agree that the first 5 minutes was very sloppy, probably 10, and they got it together, and once they got it together, it was good. I like the finish. I don't mind hot potato in the title if it makes sense, which I think it does. I think it should have been later in the card.
Yeah, so do I.
Because I think it's a more important match. One of the most important matches, one of the best builds going into the show when you look at the builds of the matches. So I think it should have been higher in the card. The first 5 minutes was a bit sloppy, but the rest of it was very good. And I enjoyed it. And I like the title change.
The only thing with it being later in the card is if you're going to keep the main event as the main event, I don't know that we have, then you've got to sort of heel and sort of distasteful kind of finishes. But I agree. I think it's as built as anything else on this card. I tell you, 4 hours worth of show, when you take out all the fucking ads for the what's coming up with Holy Foley and shit, and then all the segments on this show are fucking awful. This segment, the Good Brothers, he don't get them, does he? No one gets them. I mean, I am a massive fan on
I've started to realise I'm
make him really obsessed with testicles.
But has he literally just gone, he's called Doc? He's now a doctor, and they're now doctors, like that. Or is
he was Luke, but he was like Doc. But it was just the post thing. There was just posting people.
Posting.
I was obsessed with testicles.
So, okay.
Ring postitis.
It's fucking awful. Loud of
Did they do the old day? Did the old day happened? Or was that not these?
I don't. It was them.
It was these.
It was them, but I don't know if he...
No, they just had old. They just had people dressed as old.
Yeah, they had old day. It was one of the worst segments.
Yeah.
I think it was.
That was really
really good at being shit at this point, Raw, with these segments. They had like the Bailey thing.
That was the
Bobby Lashley and
Bobby
his
Lashley's
sisters.
sisters. That's
all these segments were shit.
Yeah, and they just should have just made this segment take all the bollocks, literally all the bollocks out of it, and just have AJ wishing them good luck, and then Finn comes up and they do the little tease for the internet fans that know about the Bullet Club, and everyone goes, "Oh yes, they were a thing." So yeah, it was right. Flower Rider gets some love, and so and we go to the purple team. I can't believe that they just all dress in purple, but JBL's in purple, Atunga's in purple, Ranella's in purple. It's the purple brand. This is SmackDown's team?
Yes.
Yeah. So SmackDown have got the IC title, and the IC champion is The Miz, who has been IC champion, I think, at like 4 out of the last 5 SummerSlams at this point. He's always in an IC title.
It was like the Shelton, or it just if you need to reset, Miz.
And do all right. If you listed every match that ever happened in SummerSlam, I'm pretty sure you will forget that Miz defended his IC title on this show.
Well, I didn't forget this.
Well, he's only been on the card about a week.
Well, he can come in the Raw after Mania, but then he don't really do anything. Then the draft happened, and
he's number 1 contender. It's not yet found his African drums. It's Apollo Crews.
He's lost them now.
Has he? He was on NXT now.
Yeah, he's no longer Nigerian.
You can see into the future now. But
Yeah,
that's another podcast.
We will be back. Sorry, Apollo, but we'll be back. I'm not sure I remember this feud, but basically it's Miz defending his title against Apollo Crews after the ring, and I can't give you any more storyline than that. It's
really was.
The match starts.
It was just Miz feuding with Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan cannot wrestle.
I mean, I am all for. Oh no, yeah, I am all for having the IC title important, and JBL actually drops in a lot of the sort of the history of the title at SummerSlam, which is good. But like, this was on the card, and fucking Sheamus and Cesaro wasn't.
Like, it's probably that they need to have some SmackDown matches, because if you're taking this off.
Well, true. Well, I don't know. It just don't make no sense.
They were a good enough build. If he had a better build, it felt like there was just one segment of Miss TV
where he called him Apollo Creed.
Yeah, I'm gonna call you Apollo Creed. Don't have a name. Well, Apollo Creed. Well, good fucking fight, you know. Then.
Blood feud.
Did that lead to anything? I thought
that was it, really.
Screwed up. And then they carried on with it. I thought, why are you calling him Apollo Creed?
No,
are you going to kill him?
Yeah.
Are you getting Russian to kill him?
Well, now he's Phantom of the Opera and all, which I don't really get with the.
Oh yeah, that.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to be like, this is it a special gear for SummerSlam?
I think it's special. Does this need special gear?
This is a waste of time. Miz takes control earlier, swats away Apollo's drop kick and front face locks him. He trips Apollo. Apollo hits a drop kick from a flying nothing. I like how Atunga invents a word called jackrabat, apparently. What the fuck is that, Atunga? You don't speak all the way through the fucking show, and the only time you do is to tell us about a fucking jackrabat word or something.
Where's Percy Watson?
He's
He's
one of the worst commentators.
Yeah,
I don't think any of them last, do they? Because Mauro Ranallo goes to NXT
because of JBL.
Because of JBL. JBL gets fired because of JBL. And
they're
talking shit, so they get rid of him. But they have Todd Phillips and who's the other one?
Jerry Lawler.
I think Jerry Lawler.
Lawler did it for a brief period, and then they realised that he's altered okay.
Is Gorilla Monsoon, was it?
I don't know.
Roddy Piper, I think.
Angle slam from Apollo. Mr. Hughes gets a name drop as well, which I love. The fact because I think he trained Apollo.
Yeah,
Mr.
It's amazing, ain't there? Because he was doing all them flips.
I'd love it if he showed him that. So I'm going to do this standing.
What did he train him to do?
I have no idea.
The punch.
It's a beautiful press slam by Apollo. Scary power as he catches Miz in the corner clothesline and hits an overhead belly to belly. Miz tries to walk it off, but he's stopped. But basically, the finish now starts. Apollo is launched over the top rope into the corner posts. goes into the skull-crushing finale. Think of a better name. And Miz wins and retains the IC title. Not only have we rushed this program, but he didn't even win. So it feels like you've shoved him on a card.
He's harmed him.
And now he's just lost. And he did get a few bits of offense, but I would have preferred it to be all offense and then a quick roll up or a cheating win or whatever, Maurice. But it even though I know that's kind of getting the out with him hitting the ring post, it's a legitimate win. It feels pretty clean.
Yeah.
So
did you miss it by that much that you hit the post that's about 4 yards back?
Exactly. I didn't enjoy the match till. And with respect to the IC title, if this is your IC title match, just don't have it in the card. Check.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot it happened, and I watched it again, and I was upset that I forgot. So it was just pointless, really. It was a pointless feud, and I think it did more harm to Apollo because I never really think
I don't
think he ever got going until he became Nigerian. I mean,
and he won the Inter then.
Yeah, and he was US as well as before, but I don't think that he ever got going, and this feud really stuck him in the mud for a while.
This is why I think your mid card belts have to be a bit higher in terms of the people in the caliber of who are feuding. You can't just treat it as they've just come in, they're instantly.
Yeah, you look at Raw.
Yeah, exactly. To me, you've got to keep it at a much higher level. So you've got your number 1 and 2 babyface. They can be around the world title, and with the number, but then the 3 and 4 should be the IC. But here it's like if Apollo Crews is literally 3 or 4 babyface on SmackDown, how fucking thin is the roster? Like, you know what I mean? Sam,
it was okay. It was a bit short. Obviously, could have been a bit longer, but obviously with the feud, Apollo just wore ready because he hadn't long been hired and put on NXT.
He only had come up too quick.
He only had about a year in NXT, didn't he?
If that, I don't
if
know.
that, we saw him at the end of October against Joe on an NXT house show.
He was up after
and
that,
then
and he wore in long when we went.
Yeah, he had long debuted, so I don't even think he'd been in WWE a year.
It was a weird one when they pulled him up. I was surprised.
I mean, he's natural. Like you can tell he's
a freak of an athlete. Yeah. The rotation on the moonsaults and all that sort of stuff is brilliant. But
I think he'd need to adapt to the WWE style because he was a bit too...
Well, what is it? That's the thing. I don't quite understand what his character is.
That's the thing.
Because, like, if they'd have,
Tiny Lashley.
If they'd have played up the Apollo Creed kind of thing, boxing kind of... He probably don't suit his gimmick, but if they'd have played up that, I could have kind of at least gone, well, at least he's something. But like you said, they sort of balls the way into that and did bugger all with it anyway.
He's a really good athlete, which there's a load of them, and he is probably a better athlete than a lot of them.
Yeah.
But he's just a man in tights. That's all he is.
He just feels a bit like Shelton Benjamin, but like on fast forward. Like you know what I mean? How they got Shelton Benjamin to a point where he was suddenly he won the IC title, didn't he? But he never got a character.
Had a ring. No. He never had a nickname. I mean, everybody has a nickname.
Everyone get a nickname.
Apollo, what's his nickname?
African drum beater.
Well, until he became the African gimmick, which worked.
Yeah.
And that was 5 years after this.
After literally,
they got rid of that.
It can't be long after this that he spent about 2 years on main event. Can it really? I mean,
it's like, come on.
Yeah.
2K17 is hyped with Bill Goldberg. They should have just replayed his walk from the arcade.
He should have replayed it in the arcade. Buy
it. Instead of the police coming and breaking down his shit, they should have come and just Goldberg.
Brilliant.
See you in November.
He's now a boy because of that.
Oh, he has. He's gone up in my estimation, Goldberg. I didn't quite like Goldberg before I started doing this podcast, but now I've seen that.
That game trailer led to him winning the Universal title.
It happened every year. Somebody was on a game, and then they come Angle, bloody Brock, Warrior, Goldberg. Everybody was on a game.
They signed him to release something in the game.
Warrior was the first one in 2014, then 15 was Sting. This is 16. 17, then I think they just had AJ and stuff because it was usually the cool story.
Angle was on 1 and then he was back.
Oh, I don't know if there's 18. I know he was
Rock
on.
was on 12 and then he come back because he hadn't come back yet.
Oh, he hadn't. He did do like a little promo there.
Akeem's on the next one.
Akeem, he's coming back.
Akeem's 2K23. That's what they're doing.
You fired everyone else. We're going to go with it.
So, nice package build for our next match, which is AJ Styles versus John Cena, showing the Money in the Bank match. The package does drop into sort of reinforcing that Cena won't walk away from the WWE anytime soon.
I love that.
See you in 3 years.
AJ gets the ring walk first before Cena does his usual mixed entrance. New York are an absolute bunch of cocks. They just boo the hell out of Super Cena. The crowd are really into it though, and that whatever you say about Cena, he gets a reaction.
All you want is a reaction. I don't fucking matter what you get.
I mean, the noise when they hook up.
You can guarantee if you swapped Hogan and Cena around in the prime, Hogan would be exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, God, Jesus
He
Christ.
would have been exactly the same. I mean, he was starting
Hogan
to
and
get
AJ would have been great.
How's he going to do a leg drop off the top like Cena, though?
Do a code red.
No, but
I know what you mean. I know. I completely agree with you.
Exactly
It's
the same.
exactly the
It's
same.
The society.
That tells you the level of Cena.
There was some people in the 92 Royal Rumble crowd that were trying desperately to turn him into Cena. There's a lot
I think a lot of people was it's just WWE at that time, so not everybody's going to say this. Let's turn this down a bit. No, he did it.
There's lots of headlocks and posturing as AJ drop kicks Cena down and gets a big old right hand. There's power whip and Cena starts to be on top with his power. Power whip. Power Irish whip. Cena teases the AA to the outside but gets suplexed on the hardest part of the ring. As we know.
There's stake there.
Yes. Huge bump by AJ on a backdrop, and I mean huge. I mean, he literally nearly touches the ceiling.
You could change the light bulb.
Cena starts playing to his power with headbutts and suplex. AJ hits a forearm to the face of Cena, and Cena goes through his moves of doom, getting a load of boos. The shuffle and the AA, but it's reversed into a
He ain't done his punch yet.
No.
Oh, no, he doesn't.
Yeah, come on with that.
He ain't got to China for that, has he?
What a finish.
Early on, AJ hits his clash, but Cena powers out. After replays, you can immediately see Cena hit the AA, but for a 2. Cena takes AJ up, but Styles hits a sort of torture rack to... well, he did. He locks in a torture rack, doesn't he? He breaks out, locks in a torture rack, and then turns it into a spin-out powerbomb for a 2. Cena catapults AJ into the buckle, and then hits a sort of falling slam. Cena teases the STFU, but eats an AA neck breaker. He sort of turns...
Ushigoroshi.
Oh, is that what it's called?
The neck breaker from the AA. Yeah, it's the Ushigoroshi.
Are you surprised that I didn't know that was called the Ushiru? I can't even pronounce it.
Ushigoroshi.
Have you been talking about today?
Well, he says it.
Does
he?
No commentary, there's the Ushigoroshi.
Is it
Ranello, I think, says it.
No,
I think Michael Cole says it and all. Not in this match, but he always says it.
Oh, does he?
They stated.
Oh.
Vince okayed it.
Bloody hell. What's the matter
I know.
with Vince?
Ushigoroshi. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, well now.
You've learned something today.
Yeah. AJ misses the 450 splash and Cena hits a rolling pile driver for a 2. The crowd feel very exhausted after it does feel like big move after big move after big move. Phenomenal forearm is reversed into an STFU. Crowd are begging for Styles to make the ropes. He reverses it into a crossface of his own. Cena deadlifts his way out, but into a calf crusher. Again, that's reversed into the STFU. AJ surviving in Zaguri's Cena. Cena gets a near fall on a tornado DDT. There's the top rope Fameasser. They should always call it the Fameasser because it gives some love to Billy Gunn for a 2. Mamma Mia is dropped as the Frankensteiner is hit. And phenomenal forearm, but only for a 2. Cena recovers to hit a big lariat. Takes AJ up for a super duper AA. But AJ kicks out, and Doofy Cena comes out there with a sad face.
It's a sad face. Don't we just go and sit in the corner?
I must have,
because it has a poo.
I completely respect the work that Cena's doing to get AJ over. I respect the fact that AJ is over, but I fucking hate all this. Like, how many times have you? Well, it's just how many times have you got to hit the AA before you realise that every fucker kicks out of your AA now. Like, it's a terrible move. Get a better finisher.
Not everyone. Viscera does.
But you know what I mean? I think they've killed that as a finish.
That's modern wrestling.
Because
I know
the finish that's powerful is a roll-up.
I think it would have been better if he'd have just beat him down for a bit. It looked like he just about kicked out to tapped out to the STFU. Then he hits an AA and then he kicks out. Rather than take him to... That is like the super... You can't get any bigger than that.
Well, he could have gone to the top.
Maybe, but it's to me, it's just a waste. Anyway, he looks dejected. Everyone kicks out of the AAs anyway. Good character work with Cena starting to doubt himself a little bit. And what Cena does, I think, and it probably pisses off a lot of fans, is a thing that Vince always does. If Vince gulps... The bloke at the very back row, the worst seat in the house, says that Vince gulps. So if you're in the worst seat, you see that Cena is sad. He gulped!
Cena plays to the audience in the arena.
Yes.
A lot of people play to the audience.
On the camera. It is a bit like you wouldn't do that in a film.
Which I think on TV is the right thing to do. But pay-per-views and obviously house shows, you just play to the arena anyway.
Yeah. I don't mind it, but it is a bit doofy. AJ hits his style clash, doesn't cover, he removes his pad, hits the phenomenal forearm, and that's enough to beat Cena for a 3. Jack, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was really good, as I expected. Well, I already knew I've watched it before. But it was probably the match I was looking forward to when we did the review, when I first watched it, when it was originally happening 6 years ago. And it lived up to the hype, as you would expect. I mean, these two are going to fail, aren't they? It's John Cena, who's the biggest star that they've had since Austin and Hogan. AJ, who's probably as good a work as since Shawn.
Oh,
they are going to fucking
he is definitely this generation Shawn.
I was going to say, is this what Hogan and Shawn should have been?
No octopus in a washing machine.
No octopus in a washing machine. Both of them wasn't pricks.
Well, I just think if Hogan had had he could have got his head out his arse. Imagine what they could have done. And now they ain't doing super duper fucking AAs and stuff.
Yeah, doing legs up the top. Because they did have the match at Money in the Bank, which was the no finish for it, or did.
This when the club get involved.
When the club get involved, and then they had this, and then the next one, Ato Rumble, is it?
No, which is when they don't leave the ring.
At all.
Yeah, where they don't leave the ring at all.
Yeah, they're just
genius.
And it's when Cena wins the 16th title.
Yeah.
The storytelling's brilliant. Big move after big move. I would say for me, I could have cut out 2 or 3 minutes, maybe a few more with all the AA stuff. I don't like the.
There ain't a lot of other shit coming up for a while.
But I mean, Jesus, come the end of the show, you'd give him another 10. Like it's
exactly.
You say what you will about Cena, and I know people.
He's fucking head and shoulders above everything.
He's whether he's on your Mount Rushmore or not, he's as good as anyone in this era, if not better than most. And it's clear here because AJ Styles is a completely different breed to a lot of the people, like you just said.
Yeah.
He was wrestling fucking Viscera and stuff for years leading up to this.
Top
he's earned his ability to have some really good matches, and this is a very good match. So
it was. I vaguely remembered this match, but obviously you can kind of think about the Rumble one and this.
The Rumble one was probably the best.
The Rumble one was the better one, but this was really good as well. Obviously, at the time, it was a dream match, which I think they kind of ruined by putting it on Money in the Bank before.
I agree with that as well.
Add the build up to this match.
Just cheapen SummerSlam a little
bit. Yeah, because it's meant to be your next biggest one. I mean, for God's sake, you made it 4 hours. For fuck's sake.
6. We watched 6, mate.
Well, 4's enough. But
it
was a brilliant match, and you can't go wrong with either. And it's hard to think that at this point, AJ even been in the company for a year. He
feels like you said.
And he feels like matches with Roman.
I think he's franchise player. He's already a franchise.
Really I think Vince Skew, fucking hell. He's
really
good.
That fucker
I think the way they say it as well. He goes, he was a bit. Vince always liked him, but I think was always a bit. But then obviously seeing him against Roman, and I think Cena,
The
that's
Roman
when they
feud, and then
realised,
this was what made it.
Yeah.
In Vince's eyes.
Yeah.
Cena fills it with melodrama as he leaves his armband in the
Yeah.
ring after, and we get a few network ads.
AJ sneaked in and takes it.
Yeah. Jon Stewart is out to bore us to tears and fill the time as he goes over he goes over his actions from last year's SummerSlam. I mean, it's almost insulting to the people who watch the product as he fills us in on what's been happening in the tag team division.
Yeah.
It just that sort of thing just annoys me. Like I know I'm watching your show, so I shouldn't have to have a comedian come out and tell me things that have been happening. Does it competently.
I mean, if it's on a Raw, okay, somebody might be channel surfing, but if you've bought the pay-per-view, you're watching it.
You would imagine so, and if you don't, couldn't you just do it in a little
promo package?
Yeah, my way package or whatever. You know, it's just
do for everything.
Yeah, it just I don't know. This is still relatively New Day as they
New Day.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
The Good Brothers. What have
I
they
think
done?
that Bobby just turned face, they.
Yeah,
not long.
Well, it's after Mania, or it was once they took the stunner from.
Yeah, because
Austin.
that was at first there was preacher faces because Vince thought the smiling ones would get over as a faces, but everybody hated them.
Yeah.
And then they
We knew that was heels Vince at the start.
Yeah.
That gimmick was.
But then they turned the heel because obviously everybody booed them, but then they did their own thing.
Yeah.
As the heel, and they got over as a face.
It's ironic, isn't it, that he gave them a bit of freedom to be themselves, and they thought.
But they were Kofi, did they?
Who did?
Vince and apparently Big Show even said you're making a mistake going with Big E and Woods. And Kofi then said, "No, I'll step aside if."
Who did they want to put in?
I don't know, but I think because of him. Yeah, he had been healed, so they don't think it worked.
I don't think he'd work as Neil.
The Good Brothers are dressed as doctors. Anyway, the story is told. Basically, they injure people's balls now.
What a gimmick!
Well, by the way, they have a small, even smaller jar.
Tiny jar.
Tiny jar.
Yeah. I've got small balls. That's a point.
He's just a dickhead, isn't he? Anyway, Carl and Kofi start us off. Kofi shows his flying skills, landing on his feet as he does a monkey flip. Double stomps Carl down. That sequence, beautiful. Double face plant and the New Day are on top. Big Doc fares no better, getting corner stomped by the New Day. Kofi is so cool as he dives over the ropes and doing the
little thing. Yeah.
Beautiful. Challengers can't get any offense in as Gallows misses a big splash attempt. I can't believe how dominant the New Day were in this match. Woods drop kicks Carl Anderson into a guillotine spot, and that gets a 2. Then walks the ropes and hits a big elbow for a 2. In all the champs this match, Demolition Device style double team gets a 2. Anderson hits his Claymore on Kofi, and now the challengers finally get a little bit of offense. The Magic Killer is hit, but Jon Stewart pops in to stop the pin.
Oh, fucking hated this.
Yeah, bit of comedy gaga.
Who's lost their child? There's a lost child in the ring.
Who's the champion?
New Day.
The New Day. So bit of comedy gaga as he's cornered, and that goes on for fucking ages. How long? Jesus Christ. The crowd pop for John getting his balls crushed. Yeah. Literally, wants his balls crushed. Big E saves him because Big E's returned.
Big E gets a big
loses the match to the New Day by DQ.
Thanks,
whatever. Jon Stewart and Big E do some hit work. Big E drinks the jar of piss. Well, is it piss?
Ball
do you surround bollocks with piss? I don't quite understand what it is.
Onion? Or is it a testicle in piss?
I don't know. It didn't look like a dumpling.
He drank his own as well.
Yeah,
is it a pickled onion or a testicle in piss?
Look like a kidney stone.
Is it a pickled onion or a testicle in piss? It should have been the tagline for SummerSlam 2016.
Last year it was a perfect storm. This year it's pickled onion in piss.
God, I wasn't a big fan of this match, Jeff.
Well, anything that followed Cena AJ was always going to suffer, but then they put this fucking feud and Jon Stewart, which made it even worse. I think they tried to do the best. The match itself, moves, whatever, fine, but the feud couldn't give a shit about the gimmicks.
And even the finish is bollocks. I mean, Big E just causing the DQ for the faces.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, especially when they're new, established, shiny, happy faces. You can't.
They eventually
it feels
break
like,
the tag.
well, and am I wrong in saying no? They don't lose the belts to the Doc and
no, they don't.
to Doc and
They'll lose them to
the band.
They'll lose them to
Anderson.
Sheamus and Cesaro.
Yeah, the champions there.
Yeah,
that's really.
I'll let them go off then.
The Demolition's record.
In my head, I thought that they do sort of do a share of these titles for a bit with the Gallows.
No, because
did Anderson and Gallows ever win belts?
They did win them at Rumble 17, but
no one cared about.
I just think there's been 3 title matches, and 2 of the titles have felt really not really important. The IC title, and then these tag belts.
And I think
John Stewart is more important than the tag belts.
And I think you hit the nail on the head on the other title match. They didn't make it important because they put it in the second spot on the card, which is a World Championship match. It's the women's, but it's the World Championship match. Yeah. Do you want to go for a fall on that belt? Not being interested.
No.
Because coming up next is Let's Try Again with Dolph Ziggler. Because now we've got a WWE champion that we think people might believe Dolph could beat.
Well, to be fair, the hype package, I think they did okay. The hype package.
Oh, God, the package was good.
Dolph's got a chance.
And the shades of grey that you have to have, they never understood, with Dean is you've got to make him a bit of a prick and a bit of a fucking narky bastard. And the fact that he's basically saying, well, you don't deserve this, do you? You shit. Is exactly the right way.
It's just weird that he's so... I mean, he's been champ, 2 months?
Something like that.
He's been champ a month. And this is... His first feud is... Yeah, I'm shit.
It happened another face
because his other feud was
it don't help him
with Seth and Roman. What before? Because after he won it, then they had Battleground, which was the last one before the.
To me, when Dolph Ziggler had this sort of spot with Drew, not long after Drew won the belt, when they fought at the Horror Show, they had a storyline. Dolph can. I'll get behind the idea that Dolph can be given a WWE title shot because of his as long as the storyline is strong enough. I'm not necessarily sure that this has got a strong enough storyline.
I just think you're taking away all the face heat, if you will, from Ambrose.
Well, I mean,
surely
I'm giving away.
Should have been given.
I'm giving away my rebooking, but Kane would have been the perfect. What you've got to do is take some big established bastard who looks at Dean and thinks, well, you easy pickings for me to take the title, and then Dean wins. Don't put him with Brock Lesnar because Brock Lesnar's too lazy to want to work with you.
I don't want to do anything.
And even that, with the finish of this pay-per-view, which we'll talk about later, I think it would have been better if he'd have done that to Ambrose at Mania because Ambrose is fucking mad enough to do it.
I mean, at this point, Ambrose, I know he's champ, but he feels... We'll talk about this match.
He just feels so...
He feels a bit lost.
Yeah. Anyway, Ambrose is out. I'm not even... The presentation of Ambrose just feels off. I know we're watching him 6 years ago from what he is now, but he's so talented. He deserves better than this. And even the smile that they have at the start, it doesn't feel like there's any heat in this at all. They do give it the big-time ring announcements, but that's the only good thing that they give it. Dean shows little respect for Dolph and gets a slap back after dishing one out and he's rolled up. Dolph playing babyface, which is weird, as Dean has to regroup and his stinger splashed onto the guardrail. Don't quite like Dean. The story of this is that he's got no respect for Dolph and he's running off in the first minute. Dean's tossed.
I just don't feel right. For you to do babyface of the brand and you look like a chicken shit heel.
Yeah. Give this man a gas mask.
And you shit on this bloke in the whole program. What the fuck's going on?
It's weird. Dean tosses Dolph outside, plays heel, slamming Dolph's head into the steps. Dirty Deed turns into an underhook suplex.
Dirty Deeds.
From the top for 2. Dean gun shows, which that's a heel. You don't gun show him.
Because you ain't got him. That's even more heelish.
And he half grabs Dolph, and the pace seems to show his control and dominance, really, which is
he shakes ref's hand, do he, after this crab? What the fuck's
Yeah,
that? I know you're supposed to be lunatic fringe, whatever, but what? Even that's like, what the fuck?
I don't get it. Dolph drop kicks the air out of Dean, but Dean recovers and plants to Dolph with a reverse sort of sky high.
Slam.
What's it called?
Slam.
Lamb slam.
Glam slam.
Glam.
It's the Beth Phoenix finish.
Yeah, Beth Phoenix's finish. Yeah. Oh, of course. That's better than my nod to D'Lo Brown, which was the reverse.
We miss you, D'Lo. Maybe you should have had the time.
He probably would have been more heat in that, man.
Well, they already brought back the Endbangers.
Yeah. Dean mocks Dolph's sweet-chin tease and then he's suckered outside and he's planted with the DDT. Dean is sent shoulder first into the post and Dolph follows it up with a standing Faymaster, which I don't get it. Double clothesline spot, but Dean stays in control, hitting his running bulldog. The top rope standing elbow for a 2. Both men crash on the outside after Dolph desperately locks in a sleeper. And on the outside he hits a super kick, but Dean recovers. Dean again disrespects Dolph, but he can't hit dirty deeds. Has to kick out of a zigzag instead. Dean gets slapped now, but he's slapped into a springback lariat. Dolph teases a facebuster from the top, but Dean lands on his feet, immediately hits dirty deeds, and retains the title. Sam?
It was a bit flat, wasn't it?
Yep.
He was a bit shit already, this. And I get why Dolph wasn't among the because they was doing the whole thing of SmackDown, Land of Opportunity, but one of them noticed, but there is others better.
Yeah, well, I just think if you're going to do that sort of shock factor thingy, why didn't they just give it Apollo Crews? I know that sounds daft, but like if Apollo Crews gets his opportunity and loses to The Miz 2 matches earlier, you might as well have just let him to hang with Dean Ambrose for a bit. But it does nothing for Dolph because, again, he's talked about that this being his opportunity and failed.
And he's straight back into the IC title.
Straight back into it. Piece off back to that. And this does, in fact, it harms Dean so much because I don't know whether he's a face anymore.
He loses the belt the next show, though.
Does he? And it's the right match.
It's the first match because
it's the right
the main event is the IC title with the Dolphin.
Yeah,
because he was going to retire. Or,
as much as the fans love Dean and I get why as much as they love Dean, and I get that they love Dean, I think Dean could have been so much more. He has been booked so badly up to this point that he should never be the WWE champion. No. They've just sort of given it to the crowd.
It was like the big all the Shield held the title
in the one night.
But this, oh god, he's got to go down as one of the worst WWE champions of all time.
Well, I think like in the monthly, he's worried doing the sauce thing on Kane and all that.
The hot dog stand.
Rubbish, just rubbish. Jack.
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, I like Dolph having the shot. I think they did a good job in the package, but then the match happened and. I don't know what the fuck Dean is. It really does harm Dean because Dean's your new babyface, but he's such a heel in this match. He's said that Dolph's shit and that he couldn't beat him really easily. He's a new face. He's got to beat a heel if you want him to win. To me, which, spoiler, if you're going to do this, then Dolph has to win.
Yeah.
And then you turn Dean.
Yeah.
Because
he's immediately, you've cost me my big moment in the sun because I underestimated
I am a heel.
And then he bins the belt back by beating and massacring the fuck out of him. Something like that.
It just felt so bad. And both of them come off awful. I mean, they're salvaged Dolph because Miz is very good. But they fucked Dean really, but they give him AJ so AJ can try.
And then they brought in James Ellsworth.
Do you not think though? I think because he sort of flooded them. This is where WWE stockpiled talent in it.
Yeah.
And because he'd got so much talent now, and NXT was doing well, and there was so much talent, he obviously recognised we now got to the point now where. We've got so much talent, we're going to have to split the brands. And they did a proper, legitimate brand split. Had that have not happened, 2016 would have been one of the worst years. But I can't, other than AJ Styles, there is very few people that they book right all the way through this. Because Seth comes out losing his steam. Roman's lost.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where Roman is.
Owens, I think.
Maybe
Owens and Jericho.
Owens and Jericho. Or Jericho, fuck me.
Well, Jericho does it himself.
Jericho might as well have booked himself at this point, you know.
I think
But
he kind of did.
It feels like there's so many things. Like, even the New Day segment that we saw then, the New Day, obviously the most over tag team, and they try their fucking best to make sure that they ruin them. Balls! It's like, who the fuck is booking
There ain't
this?
many women that come out really well. I mean, the whole SmackDown women's roster feels stale.
Yeah.
You're doing my segues a wonder here, because
Becky gets the belt, obviously, but she was cold.
yeah, she was years away from where
Roman
she
and
needed
everything.
to be.
Alexa sort of got it near the end because they realised they could bend her arm the wrong way.
Yeah.
And Charlotte and Sasha did quite well in those main eventing, but that was it really. Even Bailey come up and they did fuck all with her.
Well, that fucked her up.
Yeah,
That's
and
what
then
they
again,
are.
yeah,
There was
she was a pure babyface,
It
and
could have
they've
been
managed to ruin it.
similar to Cena with the, but fans quite liked her because her could wrestle even though Cena can. But, it'd have been a bit more palatable as a Cena.
Didn't make any sense to me.
But
To me, it was almost like Warrior sort of level babyface. How they managed to then bring her up to the main roster and not get fucking people and kids to love her. Killed her.
that's what they want, though. They always want somebody who goes to the kids. That's why Rey Mysterio was so always a face and did well.
For the kids. There is
That's
ways
what
of
they
booking a
always want. Not
babyface.
Bailey, but Bailey could have done it.
But there is what.
No, of course it could, yeah. Of course it could.
I think WWE struggle sometimes to book baby faces correctly in this, where we are now in terms of it, because it should be easy. A baby face, you just take the one who's getting the really good reaction, you dump a load of heat on them with a really nasty heel, and you constantly rinse and repeat that. They did it well without Hogan for a long old time until it was always Hogan.
Yeah,
If they'd have
and
just
then after a bit,
changed who it was.
You don't shit the bed when you get to New York or Philadelphia and they get booed, when they just boo every face.
Exactly, which you're going to get. I mean, Foley said the other day, actually, I was listening to his podcast, and he was like, some of the fans have got to take ownership of their shit, because you've got these smarky fans that them watching Bray Wyatt come out and chanting Husky Harris.
Yeah, and they
It's
said
like-
that could have easily
killed
Vince would have gone, oh, they know let's get rid of him.
Yeah.
So
Because Vince is so fucking stupid, he probably would.
Yeah.
But it is absolutely pathetic that. I mean, it's as
Because they
if
know
Bray
who he
Wyatt
is.
isn't interesting. And
No.
that's it. It's like, we know who Husky Harris is. Okay, so what? You pricks. Anyway, we see another...
Don't worry, they're not watching AEW.
We see another rubbish filler sort of segment about SummerSlam's media work, which again is fucking dull as dishwater. Naomi is out first for our 6 persons tag team match, or 6 women's. Six wenches. Carmella milks the hometown buzz because I think she's from New York.
Staten Island.
Not quite Becky Lynch is out in her cyberpunk gear. Natalia and Alexa wait for their mystery partner because, as I say, Eva Marie is not there.
Loved Eva Marie's gimmick at this point.
Yeah,
Fucking
she's
loved
not
it.
there, but
Then
she's
she
been
fucked
replaced.
it up, she got bended silicone.
Yeah,
Don't worry, I got brought back. And
They
Love that.
fucked that up like it's a brilliant heel. Everyone hates it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
just keep fucking booking.
Yeah.
I'd put the belt on her for 2
You
years.
can't put the belt
I'd
on
put
her.
the belt
you know
on
what?
her
I
for 2
actually kind of
years.
agree. Like, get it to screw some
Everybody
way into the
fucking
belt.
hates it.
You just keep it.
There
It
is
pissed
a
the fans
natural
off.
heel.
Sometimes the fans need to be made angry.
Oh God, yeah.
That's the best
Actually-
way to get heat. And to be fair, because she went back to NXT, in all fairness to her, she did get better in the ring. A lot better than people.
I can't
But I
remember
don't need her to be good in the ring because the gimmick's brilliant.
Oh God,
But
no.
there you go.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
my thoughts on Eva Marie.
Give got great Carly the belt and be done with it.
Exactly.
Well, they did.
Well, it did, yeah, when I was away. Yes, and returning from injury in the heels team is Nikki. Is she heel?
She's heel, but she gets a big pop, to be fair.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nikki Bella.
as much as Sam hates the Bellas,
Yeah.
and I can understand the hatred of them from Smarky fans, they am over, to be fair.
Oh,
they
God,
have
yeah,
got
yeah.
a following.
Oh,
I mean,
right.
Mum loves them. They have got a following.
Well, it's because of that. It's the.
I know the
people
Bella
watch
show,
the-
but
But
they
you've
do
got,
love
I
it.
think you've got to appreciate that.
Yes,
That's the good thing that they do.
It
And
is
again,
good
you
in that
know, when
sense.
you
I'll
said
admit that.
you've just said about them do it sometimes, pissing the fans
That's
off.
true.
Maybe they did this just to make you
Just
pissed off.
me personally. 6 years later.
Vince was in that meeting with a black and white photo of you looking grumpy and said, "What can we do to make this man even more pissed off?"
Put Dolph in a title match.
And now we'll open it. This is like literally the worst show in the world. Really. Alexa lays out and
Only Santino.
No,
yes.
no, I've had more feel of that.
Alexa lays out and mocks Becky, who escapes a pin. Naomi gets a tag in and does, and so does Natalia. The bit of arsey face goes on in the. It's a bit weird.
Oh, that'll hurt.
Yeah, I would imagine some people might have got the tissues out later on and replayed.
Rewind that.
Yes, she then gets dumped out and hits a split-legged leg drop. Alexa distracts though, so Natty can hit her big body slam. I mean, Natalia should have had a title run.
It did have one.
No, I mean like a credible, real long-term.
We've been
title.
there for about 10 years.
I think it's probably in that spot now where I don't need it. Heels now have control. Nikki goes all Scott Steiner, but Carmella plays the isolated babyface. Alexa gets a near fall on a knee dive. Natty stretches Carmella, but is hip tossed. Becky gets the hot tag and hits an exploder on Alexa and Natalia, and then stacks up the heels in the corner. And there's another exploder, but Becky has to survive a roll up. There's a top rope leg drop. Nikki saves Natalia. Naomi ups the pace and interest with some cool looking kicks. She misses the Van Dam moonsault, and Carmella hits a buster in the corner on Nikki. Everyone in the pool. Nikki hits a massive forearm to Carmella and a TKO, and Nikki Bella wins the match for the heels. I think it was filler. I don't quite understand where the placement is though, because you ain't really calming down a hot crowd after Dolph versus Dean. But
maybe the queue was longer at the thing, so they thought, fuck, they get there.
Well, this is all like give divas a chance sort of era and stuff, and I almost feel when you just have these inconsequential 6-man tags thrown together, are you actually giving them a chance?
It's kind of
This
again
was
what
the
they did.
six-way to the title war in a backlash.
Was it a
6-way? I thought it was a tournament they did.
No, it was a 6-way.
Oh, was
I'm
it?
pretty sure.
So at least it leads to that. I wish that after the match, then there was some sort of dissension between each team, so you could play on that. Because he didn't. I mean, I've only watched.
I didn't know there was a belt yet.
Well, yeah, but you know what happens after.
Yeah. At the time, you don't know.
I don't know. So I'm watching it in isolation, and I just pick out that this feels pointless.
It feels filler.
It was just like it was a few years before with this. Just like
Exactly. Better quality, but you could have easily have just replaced this with fucking with Maria and fucking Ashley Mazzaro and all that sort of cack that used to happen.
all that cack.
And really,
joined your body.
but it's just pointless in many ways. And
It's the Bella return. She does get
that's
a pop.
the only
She does
thing.
get
a win. It serves a purpose. It's more purposeful than the 12-man tag at the start, I think.
It deserves its place on the card more than that.
So I think it's, they don't do anything particularly offensive. It's all fine, but it is filler. And it does follow a poor title match, which don't help it.
I think they
You could have
thought
swapped this with the women's title match. Could have swapped this with the women's title match, swap them round.
Yeah, easy. This is a second match on the card, or like I say, you put it between the next match and the main event, and just literally is like a dead match. But because of what did go between the main event and that, I can kind of understand what happened with that as well. Anyway, Whale is in the crowd. He's
Whale.
He's promoting his. Oh, is it Wally? I called him Whale. I literally wrote it and forgot that they call him Wally.
Whale.
He's now Whale.
Fucking Whale.
He's now known as Whale.
Whaling about.
His official song is Pimp for the Pay-Per-View. It's shit. Cole
I thought that was the name of the song. Pimp for the Pay-Per-View.
It might have been.
What a song.
Cole hypes up Roman Reigns and Rusev still to come.
I forgot this.
Oh, like that.
This quote-unquote match.
Yeah, we see Roman have some cakey fun.
I didn't make a note of it, I forgot it.
Don't worry. I'll fill you
I
in.
vaguely remember
Don't
that,
happen,
but
yeah.
forgot this bit.
Yeah.
I know it don't.
US champ Rusev cuts an angry, shouty promo about how angry he is with Roman Reigns in America. He will
Bloody hell, it's
crush.
nice to see you change his gimmick when he went away. Yeah.
Exactly. He will crush Roman later on. But before that, we've just got this tiny little match for this new Universal Champion that we don't focus on because we needed to talk
I
about
think they've
Roman.
edited this
Have they?
because they do the reveal,
They do the reveal of the belt.
but they've already took the belt out of the ring.
Yeah.
Because the crowd, once they come back from the Rusev thing, the crowd are like going, fuck the belt shit, the jam belt, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
because
thought
I
I
was
got
in
the
the ring,
scab
if only
belt.
the
scab belt.
Yeah, if only unveiled it,
Because
looked at it, and they all booed, because I think
Yeah,
they
they
Seth
hadn't-
moan as well
Oh, it's awful.
on Twitter
yeah.
after saying about, letting them down because they were booing the belt more.
Oh, yeah, Seth told off.
away from the match.
He did. He told off the crowd after on Twitter.
And I
saying
agree.
that, yeah, oh God,
It's New
yeah,
York,
Jesus, just get on
yeah.
with it. But I
Is
don't
it
like
a great
the
belt?
belts.
No. Does it matter that much? No.
No, it
It's ain't
doesn't.
like it's really like it's got a fucking.
I think the problem is a bit like the
okay.
24/7 belt in it when he bought that in. It's like
Foley got no good,
It's
no
not
good
shit.
with
but,
belts, is it?
but fans get this sort of idea in their head that the new belt is going to be brilliant. So when it isn't, it's just like this is the worst thing I've ever seen.
WWE title. Everybody went, "Oh, hell!"
But it is cat.
We know where this is going.
It's just blue now.
Yeah, the promo job there does a nice job of building up Finn as a real credible. I tell you the one thing though.
But they did really do a lot with him with the draft because he was all quite early on, wasn't he?
He was in the top three.
2 or 3.
But I'll tell you one thing. Why are you giving away the demon?
That was my big point.
At the very beginning.
If this is the big crowning moment, spoiler, why is he the demon? If we want to make Finn, why is he demon for this?
Well, I mean,
he's got no reason to be
yeah,
the demon.
it just doesn't make any sense.
He's
Like,
won every match.
I kind
so
of
far.
could get it if, like, he was the underdog in this feud, but they'd already debuted the demon.
I'm right.
This is fucking
And he went,
stupid.
nah.
Fucking, I mean, don't get me wrong.
Oh, Vince don't know what the demon
Oh,
is.
no. I mean, he looks like a fucking $1 million, but yeah, yeah,
He
anyway.
don't get it. I wish he fought Bray in a skirt, because that would have been great.
The
Sister Abigail, I'd have loved that.
What was that going to be?
I don't think Vince ever got it.
And
It is a waste. It is a waste
It
of
is a
the
waste.
demon character to do this.
The demon character has to be the one
The
or two
ultimate-
times.
You can't beat me as the demon.
Yeah, yeah.
They did it right with the Roman thing, even
Yeah.
though he did the flop and everything.
Yeah.
That's where they did it right. Here, Finn ain't established yet. It's
No.
only been on for a month, so why is he fucking... the
And
demon?
again, I've said this, but they've lost the Undertaker, even though he's still sort of wrestling at this point.
Yeah.
You have to have those sort of spectacular characters. But if you have them, they have to be protected. You cannot
I mean, they've
overexpose
already
it.
fucked up Bray, haven't they?
Yeah, well, exactly. You can't overexpose these characters. And this is, I mean, you can't get any more overexposed than your first pay-per-view match. Well, pretty much.
Yeah.
Put that
It was
You ain't even been yourself yet.
pathetic. Power Ranger Seth is out first. We go around the announce tables. I'm not sure we'll see the Russian one back anytime soon. But anyway. I mean, look, we've criticised the demon and the idea of him being demon, but it's a fucking beautiful look.
Oh,
isn't
it's
it?
brilliant. It's
good
brilliant, but it's
Because
not
especially
needed.
we talked about the film that had just come out. This is Jared Leto's Joker as well, isn't it? With all the words over it and stuff. So it's even, current.
Well, the promo he did about the Irish one having the eye on the back.
And that's what I mean. I like
it was a bit rushed.
the reason I like the demon gimmick is because it's not really like the problem with the Fiend is it'll always look like the Fiend. So if you overexpose the Fiend, it will get dull very quick, which is part of the reason why I kind of like the burnt Fiend look.
Yeah.
Because it's like Jason Voorhees. Every film, there was a little nuance to his character and change, and then you had Jason X and all that. But,
that's brilliant.
but at least, and that's the, if you just take when Undertaker wasn't massively overexposed early on in his career, he managed to get Undertaker over at SummerSlam '94 by changing the colour of his gloves. You know what I mean? It's just
his boots.
It's always purple there.
it's it's fascinating, really, how little you need to do to make something special. And I think Finn gets that in that he doesn't have to massively change the look of the demon face, but you had an eye on the back, or you had some writing, or because
He had the
The
green
stream, I
tongue at
think.
one point.
just clever booking. And like I say, he shouldn't have been the demon, but
Not this early on.
and it took fucking ages the entrance. Yeah, I think he looks like an absolute star, and how we've got to the point of where we are with Finn now. I know they're trying.
Judgment Day.
Yeah, they're trying to give him a bit of heat. Are they there when we go in 7 days time?
And they're going to be fighting Edge and Ray or something.
I don't think they've booked it. I don't think it's been booked.
Because
They probably
are we
will
expecting to see a Dominic turn? Because I think that's where they're building, aren't they?
Well, they've sort of cooled on Ray and Dominic. They ain't really been on the past couple of weeks.
Maybe they're bringing Gangrel and Viscera. Oh no, he's dead.
Gangrel and
Midian.
Super to play Viscera.
You will pop like a bastard if Midian comes in. I'm telling you
Hey,
that.
he was
all
on the
of a
network. He was on the
All
team.
of a sudden, dun 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 dun. Little shit.
Oh man.
Speaking of eyes,
Anyway, yeah, we get a look at the belts and we get big time announcements. Big fast start by the demon, hitting a drop kick and a dive. Seth recovers to trip Balor and tosses him over the barricade. There's a nice spot where Finn rises from behind Seth, which they show again. It's kind of horror movie-esque, but it is good.
Esque
Yes,
with Edward.
I love that Vince is the go-to.
It's the best.
Yeah, but it is the best one because he looked like the devil.
Yeah, all Balor as he surfboards Seth. However, the spot that ruins it all sees Seth slide through on Balor, catches him in a powerbomb, and throws him into the railings. But he doesn't throw him enough, so he takes it all on his shoulder, and you literally see him pop the shoulder back in. It's
horrible.
he's fucked it. Yeah, it's basically hanging out briefly, pops it back in. Seth and Balor have a rest hold just so they can work out what the fuck he can do and what he can't do as the match continues. Balor is dumped headfirst onto the second buckle. Seth has control, but the pace is naturally, you would understand, slowed down. There's knees and slams. Credit to Balor, though. I mean, he keeps using his bad arm.
I thought
Laying in elbows, and he eats a springboard knee to the face and a top rope frog splash, which taking a frog splash with your one arm is fucking unbelievable. Balor spiked DDT Seth, but he's unable to make the cover. Balor now on top as he with a punt kick to the chin of Seth on the outside. Sling blade from Balor, but Seth recovers with an enziguri. Now, they call it, you'll have to tell me, is this something to do with Ireland, the 1916?
Yeah, it's the IRA.
Oh,
right,
right.
it's in Zombie by the Cranberries.
Yeah.
It's the same old thing since 1916.
Oh, cool.
I think it's the rights after they left the UK, the Irish
Right.
Free State and stuff.
Oh, well, it gets Balor a 2. He can't hit the coup de grace, and Seth triangle chokes him.
riots.
Yes, boring. Seth won't break it though, as there's no rope break, which I do like. I think they have to tell the ref there's no rope break.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically this is a pinfall submission only match. And at least they play up to
Well,
that.
I mean, you can't have a double card out. Who's chap?
Well,
Family.
exactly.
Whoever wins the best of 7.
Another running powerbomb, this time inside again. Dangerous fucking move, but he takes it. It doesn't beat Balor. Unique move. It's like a spiked
Small
schoolboy.
package driver.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
He has done that a few times, eh?
Yeah, that's what it's called.
He gets a 2 anyway. Finn kicks Seth to the outside. Thanks, Mike, today. Finn kicks Seth to the outside.
Godfather of gay luchador, 6 over here.
Back inside, he hits a double curve stomp from the top. He rolls Seth over, goes for the coup de grace, but it's reversed into a pedigree for a 2. Seth can't hit his corkscrew. He's drop kicked into the corner. He recovers with a superplex, rolls through into a suplex. But the end sequence sees Finn block the pedigree, hit the coup de grace, and win the belt. What might have been? Jack?
I thought, for the fact that he was injured, they did very well. We've already talked about he shouldn't have been the Demon, and it would have been meant more if he was just Finn. But the actual match itself, I think they did quite well. They meshed together well. Finn, he is legitimately a bit smaller, but he does work big.
He does.
If you know what I mean. So because he works big, you don't see him as a small man.
Yes, I agree with that.
Him.
Yeah.
Seth's really good. We all know that anyway. He's a bit Shawn-esque in a sense. Not quite AJ level, but he's very, very good. Helped him through the whole match with a fucking knackered arm.
I thought
maybe they could have in-ring got a word, he's injured. We'll just have Seth win,
yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
They could have.
Well, they could have done because there was 2 fucking GMs on the outside, so they should have.
But then you've really killed the Demon because Seth has just beaten him on his debut. So
how do you beat the Demon?
So the injury really was a big. You couldn't do anything about it. So Seth winning, Finn winning probably was the right thing to do, and it's unfortunate they got injured. But it was a good match. I enjoyed it.
Sam?
Yeah, it was a good match. It felt a bit like it went off the rails a little bit with the shoulder.
Yeah, it did.
It's like it could have been a little bit better, but you can understand why it wasn't, considering what happened to
He had one arm.
Yeah, he had one arm, but obviously we went over. He shouldn't have been a Demon.
Yeah.
Should have just been Finn.
There were so many things that was disappointing about it, but I feel you feel for Finn because if he was ever going to have that moment that really launched him, even though it would have been too fucking soon.
I'm sure the part on it when he's holding the belt on the apron and I'm looking at him and I'm shouting to him, hold up the belt, but he couldn't hold it up because he missed his arm.
Literally broken his arm.
Yeah.
Well, he
talks about that.
It's all the muscle, wasn't it? He tore
where people thought that he was being disrespectful because they shit on the belt and he didn't want to hold it up, but it was actually just that his arm had come out.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have used his other arm.
Well,
I think it's probably one of them things that you've got to hold it up with the right arm or something.
It's probably a Vince thing.
He's
done it with his left. Get him his papers. It's a shame for Finn because he never. I mean, he never really recovered from getting this injury.
He really didn't. And then there's so many people we can say that about on this, but he never recovered at all. He never ever recovered. But I thought it was the right winner. I thought for what the match was, it was good. And I think if anything you take from this, Seth Rollins is just an unbelievable worker.
Yeah, very, very good.
Right then, kick-off show.
Here we go.
Yeah, kick-off show. More filler crap. And we get some KFC filler crap. Lana now does a ring walk and does the intro for the Bulgarian brute.
Oh,
Still Bulgarian. Don't worry, we will remind you. He's not happy as he heads out with the US belt. Boo time for Roman as he heads out. This is before Roman can enter. He's knocked back on the outside. I do like the fact that if he'd ruined his wedding reception or whatever, Rusev should be legitimately ready to beat the living shit out of him.
Why he should have a match.
Yeah, so I do like that. He beats him up outside, tosses him into the ring steps. A real nice intensity on the beatdown. Rusev uses the steps. The brawl spills into the crowd. I'll tell you one thing, the camera shots fucking awful. The constant up and down and shitty spot, cuts and horrible fucking thing. The referees are out to try and stop the fight. Roman uses a chair. Apparently, even though Rusev has been dominant in this brawl, that chair is enough to kill Rusev. The officials try and take Roman out as the doctor calls the match off. Roman returns, he hits the spear on Rusev, and by the end of it, in credit to Roman and WWE, he's kind of turned the crowd, or a little portion of the crowd.
Because basically they've made him heelish by, I've come back out to beat you all.
Yeah.
Which is such a heel move.
Well,
but because it's New York, he'll get the cheer.
They did that the year before the TLC when he beat up Triple H and everybody cheered him.
Oh.
Because Triple H come back at the Rumble and won the belt off him in the Rumble.
I just think
2016.
the natural, obviously it's so easy to do this and say this now with 2026, 2022 looking at 2016. But you shouldn't have too many cool heels on any show now. But Roman Reigns is a cool heel.
Yeah.
He's naturally a cool looking guy. that most men will fucking hate. He's just naturally, you'll look at him and just think, you bastard. And the fact that he's just such a dominant character, he's a jock-like, cool guy. He's not, that's how if you're going to book him in a kind of heel face tweener kind of way, do exactly this. Yeah. And I'll tell you one thing, they need that match anyway. I don't miss that match.
No, you don't.
No.
You don't need another match.
So I actually match of the night.
I thought they did well with it. I don't think it makes him heelish when they didn't want to go that way.
Possibly,
which is confusing for a lot of the audience and the kids who love him. I'm like, well, that's heelish, you naughty man.
Yeah,
but I think the old spot was good. I enjoyed that segment. I think it, from what we've been having over the past hour, it was refreshing to have something that felt organic and real and a little bit edgy, so to speak.
I think I think Badass Roman, real sort of, I'm going to beat the living shit out of you and I'll give a shit whether you boo me or not. He looks like he can. And I think it actually, I just wish that it maybe given Rusev a real proper beat-down moment, of that, because Rusev should be the one who's pissed off at Roman, because he is being a prick, isn't he? Let's face it.
You did that to me.
Yeah. You fucked me wedding up and then you beat the shit out of me.
But I liked it. I did like it. Okay, so we're at main event now. It's difficult when you announce the main event before you've done any build for what it is. But I do think the package does work well, because it's a bit like a boxing match where you can have like Joshua Usyk is announced before they even speak, and then you do all your big hype with it. And I think Brock Lesnar and Heyman especially do a brilliant job putting over Orton and their history and stuff. And actually, I don't really look back remembering this match or feud fondly, but I quite got excited by the package and what this could have been.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because it felt they bought up together. They never had any real feud or match.
They had one match, which was, I don't know if it was a SmackDown match or a Dark match, when Orton had just come
really
up
early.
Yeah, I think that's the only time they ever had the match, and then Orton moved to Raw,
and even though Orton
was on SmackDown,
and then he moved up to Raw, but Brock was already on SmackDown.
And even though Orton is the snake character, which the snake doesn't fight the lion, so to speak, in many ways, it doesn't kind of work.
Yeah.
The fact is, Orton can hang, so I think it works, and I think the fact that Heyman and Brock did a really good job. I love them little sit down kind of off camera look.
There been a lot of them with Brock, and I did think it felt more sporty, if you will.
Well, he's just fought in UFC as well, hasn't he? At this point, I'm sure he's come back from his.
I'm
sure
I don't know if it was
this
SummerSlam or it was the one after.
Well, I think I'm sure this is where he came back after winning, because I think around this time is where he retires because he fails a drug test.
Yeah, he doesn't. I think he won and then he failed the
drug test.
He
failed the drug test, but WWE didn't fail the WWE one because they said without drug test.
And I'm sure it was this one. I might be wrong, but I'm sure it was around this time. But yeah, I really liked it. It is an inter-promotional match as well. So on the commentary we have Ranello, Graves and JBL.
It was weird that they have Cole. I thought they would have had Cole.
Yeah.
Main event of SummerSlam and they get it Ranello.
Yeah, I'm surprised at that, but I think maybe he's got more of a sporty feel to him than Cole. Cole feels very wrestling, doesn't he?
Yeah,
had he done UFC or something?
Yeah, he's done UFC, he's done MMA, he's done a lot of.
So it might be that, because obviously we know where this goes. This is basically we can do UFC as well.
I don't think UFC would carry on allowing this to go to you.
A big stare off the start. 15 years in the making as they circle each other. And like I say, I know where it's going. I know what happens. But I'm thinking, God, this has got a lot of potential.
It was a match that Brock hadn't had yet. So
it
was something different at least. Not Roman.
Yeah, well, God, where we are now. Yeah. Brock corners Randy and lays in shoulders and knees. Orton stops and drop kicks but can't hit the RKO. I tell you one thing, Orton says to Brock, if you're going to German me, you're going to have to fucking German me.
I think a couple of people did that, don't they? So,
He sandbagged the bastard when he went up. Certainly the first few, but I think
I
by...
can kind of understand considering all the
Fucking Brock,
shoulder
no,
injuries.
I mean, he could legitimately throw most
Yeah,
humans around if he
yeah,
wanted
yeah,
to.
yeah. Well,
I
by...
would not sandbag him.
I'll tell you one thing, by German number 4 or 5, he's fucking jumping as high as he can.
If you know, I'm fucking throwing him.
He's so agile as well, Brock, as he hits the
Oh,
knees to Orton,
he's
and
a
he's
freak,
jumping up.
eh?
And he's just,
He's a freak.
he really is, isn't he? He just is a freak of nature. Four Germans in, and Brock is well on top. Brock might have given Randy a little reminder, because on the 5th one, he helps him out, and on the 6th one, he helps him out. Orton has to go to the outside. He gets power slammed onto the announce table. And literally, Brock,
Oh, the throw.
yeah, he tosses Orton over the barrier through the desk.
He's like, you fucking do it here, son. I don't care if you're ready. I'm bealing you.
Jesus. Another German, and then the next desk is used. It's not gimmick to break, though, so when Orton hits the RKO, it doesn't break.
No.
I think they were supposed to do the RKO spot through the gimmick table, but
Brock had already threw it before.
Brock
You go through that table, not
got
me.
no airs and graces or care about anything, has he,
Well,
Brock?
it's because he knows.
Yeah,
That's
well,
what
who's
you
gonna-
gotta bring grudgingly
Who's gonna
like
tell
Yeah, well, someone does after this, ironically, but not the person you would have
Better
imagined will.
scoff.
Yes. Vintage Orton as he hits the second row DDT and then hits a second RKO, but Brock kicks out. Orton is caught on a punt and F5'd. No one ever loses to one F5 anymore unless you're Kofi.
Weakest move ever.
Yeah, he's up at 2. Brock now just decides, okay then, I'm going to I'm going to literally beat his brains out of his head because he hits him with a vicious and brutal elbow and clubs, and there's a moment where the crowd are going, oh, as literally they see him turn his head and his brain fall out.
it's just the gas and it's the blood.
When you see this constant river of blood.
Yeah, when it's just like streaming it and lying on it.
I can't.
You agreed to this?
I know, Jesus, fair play to Orton because it looks fucking horrible. I mean, really does.
Just get your elbow, smack it.
Oh,
These elbows.
I know he'll try and protect you, but he has got to legitimately break your head open.
Well, he said
And
that.
he is
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar.
I know how to do this, is what he told Orton. Don't worry, I know how to legitimately elbow you and cut you open. And Orton went, okay. But as it transpired, what he had to do is legitimately elbow him really, really hard in the fucking head. It's
Well,
like,
he did it
Jesus.
about 4 times.
I mean, how this didn't
No, that's
concuss the bastard. I mean, it must have concussed him. I don't care what anyone says.
I don't know if he appeared on the SmackDown after with the stitch or he might have had a week off and then
Top
did
jelly
say,
bun.
I had a concussion.
I've never known. I mean, it's unique. It's very unique for WWE, but
Did
Sometimes-
anyone know this either? Because his reaction's quite good.
I know,
I don't know
well,
how many people knew, but
sometimes you just stay in your lane. I don't know how I feel about this. It's a weird one. He continues to beat him down as the doctor comes in and out of the beatdowns, and basically, it's Mike
Rowe.
Chioda, Mike Chioda, who
Oh,
just,
the ref. You know.
yeah, Mike Chioda just goes, that's it, he's
Forget
won.
it.
Just let him, tell that bastard he's won. Get him out. Now, here we go.
The only man who can take him on.
We saw him at the Rumble.
Jesus Christ, 4 hours
I think this-
into
I
this
think
show.
this was
I
meant
forgot
to
this
build
happened,
to
you
a
know,
match,
it was.
but then Brock went, fuck that.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
This
fighting
happened and I
you.
was so happy.
Oh.
So I remember this and I just went, oh,
Fucking
God.
Shane McMahon walks out. He stands between. Brock stands between Shane and Randy. Shane just wants to see
Check
if
on his wrestler.
his friend Randy, who kicked him in the head and then kicked his dad in the head.
DDT's sister.
DDT'd his sister.
My friend there, he's on my show.
I drafted him.
Friend Orton is okay, but yeah, Brock gets pissed off. He basically hits him with an RKO. I love Heyman sort of leave the bastard alone, get out of the ring. Yeah, and I just cannot believe. I honestly cannot believe that SummerSlam 2016, with some good bits and some really bad, ends with Shane McMahon holding his ribs, looking up at a dominant Brock Lesnar on the aisle.
You took away from all of that pissing of blood by having Shane come out and take the F5. What is the point in that? And nothing ever followed from it.
No.
Whether they could get Goldberg plans changed. Goldberg's a better match. Oh, okay.
Oh God, you've got to Shane be there.
Brock at beat him in 7 seconds.
From here, I'm thinking he's got to fight Shane soon, and he's got to fight Orton again.
God.
And Orton just, I'm now a Wyatt family member. What the fuck's going on?
Yeah, the way this ends, I'm so angry in many ways that they didn't give Orton the chance to. You literally have pounded me into the ground, and I've had to have my dad come out and help me. And,
should have been Bubble.
No, but he could have his blood come out. He ain't allowed to.
Brock would have backed up.
Yeah.
Brock went, oh.
I don't believe that booking at the end, because it took away from what I know it's really like controversial as a finish, and you'll either hate it or you'll love it. But I think I can get behind the idea that it was really unique to the point where it left you thinking, what the fuck has happened there?
You remember it now.
But I hadn't remembered that Shane.
No, I couldn't remember the Shane.
I do remember.
And the fact that it reminded me of that, and like you say, the lasting thing, Orton's in the corner getting.
Orton's forgot. He's the one who's done the big. I've got my head caved in here. And coming out of it, he's Brock.
He's the sweaty thumb.
I don't believe it, but yeah. SummerSlam 2016.
Because it's a decent enough match.
It's a Brock match. It's a Brock 2016.
That was actually one of my notes.
But it was like the finish of him pissing blood. He's like, bloody hell. That's
at least it's new.
Oh, yeah?
That's the thing. Either Brock, if you're gonna put Brock over, you can't keep just having him
squash.
Quick squash people.
Finish. What's the point?
He did Samoa Joe. Great water fight.
And you can't. I think we've done the sort of Brock survives and manages to get a win as well. That's sort of done. I think this is a very unique. It's a horrible. You've got to give Randy Orton credit because there's no way I'm taking that. Credit to him for doing something unique. But the booking to me has to be that you've got to now build Randy Orton up to the point where he's ready to do exactly the same to Brock. And maybe even do that in a segment, like catch him with an elbow and proper bust him open and prove he's got it back and then do another rematch. Or, if this is where you're going to go, well, at least give Shane and Brock a match.
You can't just come out of it and Brock's got Goldberg, which they might not have known at this point. Okay. No. Orton's a Wyatt family member and Shane's doing the stuff with... I don't know what Shane not doing anything. He's just on Team SmackDown and survived.
And he gets concussed from that.
Taking the spear. Yeah. Well, he feuds with AJ, but he don't do anything. And it's like, it feels like such a really good, unique, probably the most creative finish they've had for however long there. Was completely ruined.
You should have just had Shane not come out, have him cave him in, everybody go in, and then just go. Don't even have Brock walk up the aisle, just have it cut off. Just go,
and then leave fans thinking, what the fuck is happening?
Have Shane.
Just don't have Shane.
I mean, I ain't sure. It is probably, like I say, I love the package and the build. I could understand if Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton, if you're going to hire then the stars, and I can understand the poster being them pair, that's the big match. I ain't sure that the finish is necessarily what you want to end your second. SummerSlam to me has to have a little bit of a Mania-esque kind of finish.
Yeah.
So I'd not necessarily be behind.
Cena beat the Nexus.
Yeah. So I'm not quite sure it should necessarily end that way, but I love the finish. I love the finish of the match.
Yeah. I love the finish.
But
the match itself's okay.
And the match itself is okay. I think Sam hit the nail on the head. It's a typical Brock Lesnar match. So, there you have it. Overall on the show then, Jack?
It's long, but I mean, there's some decent moments, but there's a lot of shit in my eyes. And the overall, you always remember what they'll be left with. And what you were left with wasn't very good.
No.
So the big moments, they probably got the Universal title right, but even that was hampered by an injury. Cena AJ, and the women's title was probably as good. But everything else felt a bit like it was messy. Some things are very messy, the WWE title and the Brock stuff.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's way too long, and in fact, I think it starts to become a bit insulting to the fans. You've got to be. I mean, we're big wrestling fans. We're doing a wrestling podcast. We used to enjoy wrestling, and yeah, we did. But this is an era, I think, where it becomes so tiresome to constantly have. If watching wrestling becomes a chore because it's so long, you need to cut it back. And I think this because they didn't have any competition and they could stockpile wrestlers. You've got to the point now where I think he had to call up, especially with the draft. He had to call up wrestlers he probably wouldn't have ever used or wanted or cared about, which comes back to the point: just don't have them at all if you ain't going to use them properly. So I think you could have cut at least 3, but there was 2 matches I feel at a real high SummerSlam level in Finn versus Seth and AJ versus Cena, and I think there was the spectacle match, which is Brock versus Randy. So on that sense, just watching those 3, it's fine. But there's a big There's big but with a Finn injury, which suffers that match. And the ending of Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton with Shane McMahon takes away from that. So you're left with being very grateful that Cena and John and AJ was on this fucking card, because had that had not been on the card, you'd have been left. I'd have struggled to tell you what was an honest, clear match of the night match. So
it was just too long and disjointed.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah, it's just
the structure of the card was poor.
Yeah, because WWE normally get that quite good. Like, but I agree with you, Sam. It's so disjointed. Like the placement of the 6 women's tag, the women's title being the second match on the card. It's just a bit all over the place for me. I think.
I think that was just getting back used to the draft again on the big show and having the matches for both shows and trying to know where to put each one. And for a lot of it, he's like, you don't need it on this show. That's why he's too long, because you've just got matches that ain't necessary.
Yeah. So there you have it then. Round table. I think we might be unanimous with a few things, but match of the night?
We've seen AJ.
3 out of 3. Worst match of the night?
I'm going to give the WWE title.
Dean versus Dolph for me as well.
I'm going to give it the tag.
The first match? Oh, the New Day.
The New Day. Just because my note does say this match was built on balls.
Balls Mahoney?
No, just balls. So
it was balls as well.
And why John Stewart?
Yeah, well, we might get another mention of him before we finish. MVP.
I'm gonna go John. I think John Cena.
I thought you were going to say Stewart.
That's JBL.
Yeah.
John Cena. I think he's just brilliant.
Well, I'll go with the second half of that tango, and I'll say AJ Styles.
Yeah, I'll go with AJ.
And LVP.
Oh God. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go with Shane.
One of us has got to say.
Yeah, you're going to ruin these.
John Stewart for me.
I was thinking Shane as well, but I think John Stewart just because he was all over this.
Oh, John! I mean, I'm pretty sure he didn't go in and say, "I need."
Oh, it wasn't his fault. I think all he does is he proves how out of touch the product is with some of its fans.
And he's not that.
You can have him. You can have him there. You can show him. But why the fuck is he got to get involved in a tag title?
You just have him.
And when you get to the point, like it happened with Drew at Mania, at Rumble, where he was in the Rumble and he got to the point where everyone wanted him to be chokeslammed. Yeah. You know what I mean? They do this all the time, but they got it right with Pete Rose, like because he did.
He just come out.
He just come out and got beat up.
Wrestling fans are unique in the fact that we hate all celebrities. Like we always want them to be beaten up.
Don't ruin our wrestling. What we have,
unless it's the Hop. In which case we all love that.
Put in the belt on him.
Oh, what's his face? Who was that?
Meatloaf.
Bob
Barker. I mean, even Meatloaf took an RKO, didn't he?
Yeah. Some of them are okay, but a lot of them just don't.
Some get it, some don't.
Some don't. And the ones that don't are the most annoying, aren't they?
Yeah.
Right then, so we now take the difficult task of rebooking SummerSlam 2016 and making it better. So I've done a 8-match card. Don't tell me you've done.
I've kept it as what they have because if they're good,
Oh, that's yours done then?
I've got it
Oh.
4 hours, so 10 with the 3 pre-show.
I've not done a pre-show, but I have done 10, and I've sort of kind of built a story around it, but also with little stories in each.
Well, I'm going to just get mine out of the way. Then I've got to be honest, because I thought I can rebook it. I am booking it as a 3-hour show, so
Yeah.
I would have a pre-show. Like I haven't had the women. I think Naomi needs to be on pre-show to be built as a. I'd have her win.
Yeah.
There's a couple of tag teams I can understand maybe having a bit of a. Oh no, we can't have the tag team because they're in. What I need later on. So, I haven't even wrote down my pre-show. You can fill it however you want. My match 1 would be Brock versus Orton. So, the only reason I want to end it here is because I am actually going to go with Shane at the end. But I'm not. So, basically, I'm taking away the Orton busted open and Brock beats Orton pretty dominantly. He's mauling him at the end, not busting him open. Shane comes out to stop it, but Shane takes the blood spot. Because I think Shane's mad enough.
Bleed. You seen him?
Well, I just think he's mad enough. He jumps off all these bloody big eye buildings. I think he's mad enough to just take the butt.
He thinks he's legitimately hard and also
he would do it.
Brock.
And this would basically play into. This would basically play into Shane thinking Steph put Brock up to busting him open later on because it helped. It really caused that tension between the two McMahons that are running the shows. But spoiler, we'll get to who it was. Well, no, I'll tell you who it was because I can't actually tell you who it was. I don't actually tell you who it was elsewhere. So it turns out that it's Daniel Bryan who put Brock up to doing it because I'm going to turn him into a heel authority. He wanted the power because now he has got power for the rest of the show from a SmackDown point of view, which will make sense in a couple of things that go on later on.
Yeah.
Jericho versus Enzo and Cass versus the New Day for the tag team titles. I'm taking the Good Brothers out because I just don't think that they're ready for a title. They're just not top title contenders. Yeah. But they do take out the New Day. You can even do the ball spot if you want. And Jericho win the gold because to me, you've got 2 legitimate world level champions. And I've always said, tag titles, you should have your best people holding them. Backstage, Roman is beaten down by an angry Rusev. This is he gets his arse handed to him in the back. Match 3 is Sheamus versus Cesaro. I am putting it on there. I've got no problems with Sheamus winning. Match 4, this is where Bryan now changes the card. So Miz was supposed to defend his title against Apollo Crews, but he's not. He's defending it in a battle royal against Apollo Crews, Ziggler, Corbin, American Alpha, the Usos, Hype Brothers, Ascension, Vaudevillains. So even though he's kind of the face and you want to get behind him because he's punishing the Miz, you know that he's taking advantage of his power and that kind of is heelish. But Miz retains.
I thought Jon Stewart was going to win.
Match number 5 would be Dean Ambrose versus Kane. I already explained it when we was talking. Just elevate Dean. He beats a legitimate monster in Kane. Between the next matches, Roman comes out to get his heat back on Rusev. So the match is called because the doctors have said he's in no fit state to fight. Roman comes out. Don't give a shit. I'm beating the living shit out of him. Beats him up.
At least there's a legitimate reason why he would want to beat him up after.
Exactly. Match number 6 is AJ versus Cena. AJ wins. Yeah. Match number 7 is my Women's World Championship match, which is Sasha versus Charlotte. But as I said, I don't kind of mind Charlotte winning just to create some natural heat. So I'm going to have Charlotte go over. My main event is Seth versus Finn. This is face versus face. I've not turned Seth. Seth's returned recently as a face. Finn wins, but not yet as the demon. This is where Seth turns heel at the end because he's all cocky about, I'm your number one draft pick. I shouldn't have even had to have competed for the belt. You should have given me the belt because you made me the number one draft pick. So the show ends with Seth leaving to join SmackDown if he doesn't get another title shot. So he sort of leaves on a cliffhanger of I'm going to get my title shot, telling Stephen Foley I'm going. And Daniel Bryan is already starting to be that heel character. So I can leave with Finn having got the win, Seth getting a bit of heat, Brock and Shane have got the ready-made storyline, Daniel Bryan's turning a heel, and hopefully all that happens in a palatable 3 hours. Jack?
Right then, kick-off 1. I'm doing a SmackDown Tag Title Tournament.
I'm having 7 hours. Yes.
So, it's American Alpha are going to beat Breezango.
Oh, you're actually having multiple matches within...
I'm going to have 2 matches on the kick-off, and then the final's going to be on the show.
For the SmackDown Tag?
For the SmackDown Tag.
Okay.
So I'm going to crown
American Alpha Breezango.
American Alpha over Breezango, and the Usos over Ascension.
Yes.
And then, the main event of the kick-off is Cesaro v Sheamus in the best of 7. Sheamus wins.
Yep.
Match 1 of SummerSlam is the same. Enzo and Cass versus Owens and Jericho. Owens and Jericho win.
Yes.
Match number 2 is the IC title. It's Miz versus Randy Orton. What have I done here? Well, Orton's going to win very quickly. He's going to win with a quick RKO. He's going to become the Intercontinental Champion.
Yep.
He's just come back. I'm putting him in a feud with Miz. He's a face. Put the IC on him. Why not?
Yes.
Elevate the IC. Match 3 is AJ versus John Cena. No one's
thinking
changing
you were going to say John Stewart.
No, I'm not. AJ wins.
Yeah.
Match 4 is the New Day versus the Dudley Boys for the tag.
Okay.
New Day retain.
Yeah, at least it puts them over.
And then I'm probably going to do the split.
Yes.
Bully Ray begins in WWE.
I was going to say, just leave it at that.
It begins. Plus, it follows AJ Cena, so, you know, it's a bit of a dead spot, so I do a turn.
Yeah.
Match 5 is US title no disqualification match, Rusev versus Roman Reigns.
Yep.
So if you're going to have, you know, it's got to be a blood feud, blood match, whatever, so, well, you can't have blood. Well, unless you're one.
Yeah.
But you can have a big brawl. I would probably have Roman win the US. Because he does win the US eventually. I would probably have him win it here.
Okay.
I would probably have him win it here.
You're going away with credible mid-card champions.
Mid-card champions, Roman and all.
Yeah.
Match 6 is the SmackDown Tag Tournament final. The
Yeah.
Usos versus American Alpha.
Yeah.
The Usos are going to win the tag titles because they are the best tag. I am probably going to cheat to win.
So at least you tease him.
So I'm teasing a full-blown heel turn, which will probably happen at the next pay-per-view, which was Backlash. Match 7, Raw Women's Championship, Sasha Banks versus Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair is going to win the title like she did. I like that. I like it. Match 8, Dean Ambrose versus Dolph Ziggler for the WWE title.
I think I know where you're going
Dolph
with it.
wins the title. Dean turns heel. This is where I'm going to have my Shane moment. Shane's going to have a moment. He's the son of the boss. Shane's going to come out after Dean has beat the shit out of Dolph after. And then Dean's going to feud with Shane, probably.
Okay, yeah.
I was thinking of Dean facing Dan Bryan, but we don't know that Bryan can wrestle, so he's got to fight Shane.
Yeah, that's the problem with doing anything with Bryan at this point, isn't it?
I
Well, yeah,
know
I'm
that
retired.
it
Yeah, I'm
becomes a
retired.
thing. Match 9 is the women's 6-woman. I'm keeping the Eva Marie thing as well. And Nikki can go over because she did get a pop, so, you know. And then the main event is the Universal title. Finn Balor, as Finn Balor, versus Seth Rollins. Finn Balor wins the title.
He has to be Finn Balor. Makes sense. Go off the air with him actually legitimately holding it up because you've rebooked. Yeah, you've rebooked out the injury.
Rebooked out the injury.
Have you rebooked out the injury?
No, Brock.
I've got 10 matches.
No, Brock at all.
No, Brock.
And what I would do is
Saved you £1
because
billion. Oh.
Exactly.
you've just had the draft and you want to make them both competitive, so they're both trying to match each other in what they book.
Yeah.
So they've each got 5 matches. and then virtually are mirroring each other.
Yeah.
So you can do it either or. I think the Raw tag titles, or the tag titles, the New Day be the Dudleys.
Yeah.
Oh, so
I've kept that, and I think I would have the New Day win. You can do the Bully Ray turn.
Yeah.
These ain't in any particular order. You can
Yeah,
just
yeah.
move them around the card. It's just obviously the story building up to SummerSlam.
Yeah.
So SmackDown then carried out by introducing the SmackDown tag. And I don't know why they did this on SmackDown. Why not have the fight, like, do the tournament and
I
build
agree.
it up to
I
that?
agree with
And I would have Heath and Rhino be built up, because have Heath then say, look, give me a chance to come on here. And he say, okay, find a partner, you can be in the tournament. And then do the underdog thing that they did and have it at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
So again, you've got like a bit of a moment for either tag team thing.
Yeah.
For Raw and SmackDown. Women's title match, you got Charlotte and Sasha, the two best women. I can understand Charlotte winning. I would have liked to have kept it at Sasha a little bit, but you know, I could either or really can win. So SmackDown introduced the women's title, and it ends up with a triple threat, so they can say we've got 3 good women, which is Lynch, Bliss, and Naomi. And I think you could have Naomi starting to become like the underdog that you can.
I think Naomi, to me, is the most interesting out of all of those that we said.
Yeah.
That was the
Obviously-
first time she did like the big
Was it?
blow.
Yeah. So you've got Naomi, you can build around or build her up. Becky is Becky basically as the horsewoman who's on SmackDown.
Yeah.
And Alexa Bliss, you could tell she was getting this heel basically.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think I would have Bliss win to begin with, as opposed to starting off with a face. I think the tag is different, but obviously with the big women's title. So again, counteracting each other. These 2 matches and the marquee matches. So you've got AJ v Cena on SmackDown, which AJ can win, you know. On Raw, what you can have is Jericho and Owens being like massive, you know, pissing each other off. So Foley books Brock against them
Yeah.
to say, all right, then this is out, and you can do the Foley what's her face for
Yeah.
Raw, like
Definitely.
going against each other there.
Yeah.
So I would have Brock win. You can make it really short, having just F5 Jericho win, because you don't want to hurt Owens. And Jericho can do it, you know, it's just.
Yeah.
And I think they'll have comedy, you know, they can hug each other to get away, and Brock can suplex both, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
Just make it short. Right, the mid-card titles now. Miz would fight Kane, because Brian is pissed off with Miz and that.
I like that.
So it's like, well, we've got Kane, he's my mate, I'm going to have him beat
Yeah.
Miz would win, he can like roll him up tight, whatever. Yeah. The US title, it would have been initially Rusev Roman, but because of what Roman did, Stephanie can pull him and say, all right, then you're off the card now because you ruined that. But then Fowler can go, well, I'm going to book his replacement, Sami Zayn, because he was up on Sami Zayn, and you can have it. I think I would probably give it Zayn. You could probably have Roman like interfere through the crowd and that, give it Sami Zayn.
There's a way to get Roman over anyway, because he's
Yeah.
getting at one of them.
like he's like pissed off, and then he's like, okay.
Anybody else but you.
Yeah. With
Exactly.
Can we just book you like that?
Yeah, and obviously, forget the US away.
Roman the brain reigns.
So and you can have Sami Zayn as the US thing there, and then you've got obviously the WWE title and the Universal title that they've introduced. So it's like they've introduced the women's tag. So that's how you should do it, because it's one of your big 4. You're ready 4 hours. Here's what you do. So Universal Seth v Finn. Again, he's not Demon Finn. Finn should win. If you want to even do like a fake injury, or like Stephanie say something like saying, "Oh, he's injured," and then they're good like, "Oh, the doctor said this, keep him away."
Yeah.
Strip him of the belt, and then there's something there. You know, you can build on that. And then the WWE title would actually have Dean Ambrose v Bray. I think Bray needs a bit more nursing.
What was happening? Why wasn't Bray on this?
I have no idea.
I don't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
I know.
He gone to SmackDown.
He was in the
I don't
6-pack
think
to do the one
No,
tell you which
it's
Dolph would. But that's what I thought, well, he's slightly better.
I couldn't tell.
Luke Harper
I
hadn't
couldn't
come
tell you what he
back
was
yet,
doing
had he?
back.
Harper was injured, was he? So
Yeah.
if at this time he was back, you could have him come back. And then at least you got Dean and Harper for the WWE that you could do on like Backlash or something. But then again, I have AJ win, and you can have the Wyatts just feud with Dean again.
Yeah.
Just not have any exploding tellies or whatever you like they did in 2014. So that's how we'll book it. I would still have Dean retain, But obviously, again, you can move these around. It's just the story building up to SummerSlam, them counteracting each other with the same things.
Yep.
But then you've got Foley and Steph having their little thing. You got Miz and Bryan.
I think it's
You've got
important to move the draft storylines forward, because you've got to establish that there's a point to all this, and then within a year there is no point.
I mean, after this, they start having the separate pay-per-views. So you want to make it that they both want to compete on the big shows, Mania, Rumble, Summer.
Big shows. They want to compete for the big show.
No big show allowed. So that's how I would book it.
They're not allowed the big
So there was no Brock on yours?
There was. He fought Owens and Jericho.
Oh, of course,
because
they
were pissing off.
Yeah, so that's it. Punished the
Brock's a face.
Yeah.
Well,
face
you
Brock.
can just use him as that. You're beating up faces or heels.
Yeah, Brock don't matter.
Yeah, Brock don't matter.
Do what you want with Brock.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't use him at all. But there you have it. If you believe that you could have rebooked SummerSlam 2016 and done it differently, let us know on our Twitter page, which is at BCCPod, on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/BCCPod, or our website, which is www.bettercallcreative.com. We round out the episode, as we always do, with a fantasy card. And as this event was the debut of the Universal title, quickly now known as the WWE Universal
Undisputed Universal Heavyweight Champion.
Load of rubbish. We decided to do a 6-match card of matches between debutante champions. They have to have been the first, so they're representative of a title, but the first entity.
Some of them might be a little bit contested, but I'm still sticking with it.
Okay. 6 matches. I'm going to open with Sam then, I think.
Right.
Since he closed.
Okay, so first match is the first ever European champion, because why not?
Yes.
Bulldog versus the first ever North American champ, Adam Cole. NXT North American.
Strange match.
Yes,
Yeah.
but you know,
Be a good match.
throwing around.
Sure, it's like...
I'll put it over Bulldog.
Yeah.
Because why not?
Well, my first match is the first TNA Tag Team Champions, recognised as TNA Tag Team Champions.
That's what I've done.
Yes, it's Team 3D. Versus the first WCW Tag Team Champions, recognised as the first WCW Tag Team
Is it the
Champions.
Hollywood plot?
It was Doom.
Oh,
Doom versus the Dudleys, and I'm going to put over, because I was never a fan of Team 3D. I'm going to put over Doom.
Yeah, it's got to be Fat Devon and
Fat Bubba Ray.
Brilliant.
Butch Reed and Ron Simmons are beating them into shape.
My first match is the first ECW television champion,
Johnny
Hotbody.
Yeah,
Was it?
Was it him? I thought it was Snuka.
I kind of remember him. For some
it was
reason,
like
that
second or
sticks
third.
in my mind.
Versus the first WCW, emphasis on that, television champion, Arn Anderson.
Oh, get on the card.
Yep, Arn wins. TV, Arn wins.
Yeah,
of course. How can he not?
My next match is,
Johnny Hotbody.
might be slightly contested, but sorry, I'm booking it. The first WWE Women's Tag Champs, Sasha and Bayley.
WWE.
Yes.
Drop the F. Got the
Yes.
F out.
Exactly.
I thought it was going to be the
Versus-
Jumping Bomb Angels. or
Yeah,
something.
No, this is where some bits get contested, but fuck it, I'm having it. The first SmackDown Women's Champ, Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
And this one is Jacqueline, because it was the Women's Champ when they brought it back, which is continued since. So, fuck it, I'm having it.
Okay.
No London
Becky
Blaze,
and
not
Jacqueline
versus Sasha and Bayley.
Ah,
I'm
fair
putting
enough.
over Lynch and Jacqueline.
Weird way to get Jacqueline in.
Yeah,
the
got to
match.
get Jackie on the card. My match 2 is the first recognised WWE Cruiserweight Champion, which was Tajiri. So when the belt
when he
came,
switched to WWE.
WWE, versus the first TNT champion in AEW, which was Cody Rhodes. Because I think Cody and Tajiri would be a good match.
Oh, they would
I'd like that. And I'm going to put over Cody, I think.
Right then.
I don't know about that.
Fatal 4-way hardcore match. We've got the first
I
WCW.
did see these, so I know what's coming.
First WCW hardcore champion, Norman Smiley.
Was it Norman Smiley?
Yeah.
I thought it was Brian Knox.
versus the first WWF hardcore champion.
Mankind.
Known as Mankind. versus the first CZW Deathmatch Champion, which is Wife Beater, versus the first. Come on, I've got to have it on. XPW King of the Deathmatch Champion.
Supreme.
We all know who it is. My boy, Supreme. And I'm putting Supreme over.
That's the ugliest match I've ever heard.
Fucking Norman Smiley is thinking, who the fuck is going to do a padlock with me?
I think basically
Checking the wiggle.
Supreme's taking the wiggle.
To be honest, I can see him pairing off Smiley and Foley, and then I'm really got White Beater.
Load of light tube.
Yeah, they're going through it. Dom and Smiley's doing wrist locks on Foley as them two are diving off bloody fucking balls.
Tax, traps, all these bollocks.
Who are you putting over?
What a beautiful match. Supreme's going to win.
Oh,
He's
brilliant.
such a boy.
I love him. Fucking waste. Right, next match is the first WWF Light Heavyweight Champion, Taka. Because I know they had it before, and they were still defending in Japan because Vince forgot about it.
Yeah.
And then realised
It
that.
was the triple FWs or
Yeah,
I love that
WWF.
Japan just used to take belts. They never used. Well, Anna.
Are you using this? So, Taka versus the first ever WCW Light Heavyweight Champion, which was Brian Pillman.
How was it called?
He beat Ricky Morton in the final.
Ricky Morton?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
He's
isn't
not.
it?
So, I'm putting over Pillman.
My next match is my hardcore. It is the first WWF Hardcore Champion, which is Mr. Mick Foley or Mankind.
Mr. McFarlane.
Versus the first CZW World Champion.
Oh, world.
It's the toothless man himself. It's Nick Gage.
But
But they're world champ because most of the time their champ was never recognised as a world champ. I think it was that.
King of the Death Match.
Oh, was
like
it?
the big
Oh,
one.
right.
But they have now changed it to a world champion. I think it still is a recognised world champion, but I'm putting over Foley, obviously.
What a match. Match 3. It's the first first AEW Tag Champions, which was SCU, which was Kaz and Scorpio Sky, versus the first ROH Tag Team Champions, which was Christopher Daniels and Donovan Morgan, which were the Prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
So you got all SCU in the match.
No, about that.
And I'm going to put over SCU because I like them.
Mm.
Kaz and Sky.
Right.
I'll argue with it.
My next match is the first ever. You could probably do the WrestleMania 6 package for this. First ever WWF Intercontinental Champion, Pat. Versus the first ever WWF Champion, or WWF, Buddy Rogers. But you could have Vince do it and them in the sky.
Yeah. The immovable force.
I'll put it over Pat.
Pat.
Screw it over.
I like that Pat's gone on someone's card. I haven't got Pat, but
No,
he
yeah.
deserves some love. I have gone Japanese. Turning Japanese, I really think so. Match 4 is the first IWGP Heavyweight Champion, which was Mr. Antonio Inoki,
Never.
versus the first IWGP World Heavyweight Champion.
Now the new one.
Get that around your head. Kota Ibushi, because I think they
just merged the
Merged
Inter and
the
the world
Inter
and
and
made
the
a
world.
shitter belt.
and I'm putting over Inoki.
And to be honest,
Ibushi.
the Inter just got battered. I think who was it?
Evil and in that Tetsuya Naito.
Yeah, he just used to just
throw
throw
it,
it and
yeah.
he got busted. So fucking point.
Strange. Right, I'm
Naito does what he wants.
going black and white. Strap yourself in. There's a 60-minute time limit draw because we're going for the first NWA World Heavyweight Champion, which is Orville Brown,
Orville Brown's getting some love.
versus the first AWA Champion,
Turn Gagne.
Pat O'Connor.
Oh, bloody
Pat
hell.
O'Connor.
Yes, come on.
What?
A match. 60-minute time limit draw. No, I'm going Pat O'Connor.
Yeah.
But we're having a bit of a
I
roll
don't
around.
know Orville Brown is. I don't think I've ever seen it.
I don't think I've ever saw it.
And
I
it's
know
Orville Brown.
I think he was the first, sort of world champ. Then when the NWA started, they just said, that's where the lineage goes back to.
Yeah,
or
that's
something.
Luther.
Luther's trade, me.
George
Right.
Acton Smith.
Next sub-main event is first ever United States champion,
Yes.
Harley Race, versus the first ever WWE United States champion, Eddie Guerrero.
Oh, lovely match.
I'll go for over Eddie. As much as Harley Race.
Harley Race is not
Harley would do well with Eddie.
that, pal.
Yeah.
No, I think it would work.
You'll tell him that, and he'll suddenly just slide out his gun, and that will change.
I don't think he would. I think he does a bit more business.
Maybe.
Not with Eddie.
Not with it. He's
This Eddie,
small. Bloody
WWE
Mexican bean Eddie. Well, there.
A foreigner.
Well, I've got to bring it up because I've gone 6-man tag belts now. Okay,
Jeez.
yes. Sub-main event is Los Perros del Mal, yes, which is the first AAA World Trios champions, and they are Damien 666, Halloween, and X-Fly.
Oh,
He got on the card.
He was an X-Fly, wasn't he?
X-Fly got on at SummerSlam 2016.
He's a wasp now.
He's
versus the first ever because I could have gone with some good 6-mans, but no. The first ever WCW
Is this-
6-man champion.
It's a Dustin Rhodes, Big Josh, and
It's
Tom Zeg.
even more confusing than that. It's Ricky Morton, Tommy Rich, and the Junkyard Dog.
Okay, the first two, I kind of thought, okay, it's the York Foundation.
Yeah,
because
of
they was
course.
together. Junkyard Dog.
Yeah.
Why is he
Because there was a babyface team, I didn't quite understand it.
Paul Robert Gibson?
But I'm going to put over Los Perros del Mal.
What a strange.
What does that mean?
And Los Perros, I think, means the dark or the demon.
The Dark Mall.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't know what the
Dark Shopping
Pero
Centre.
is dog eat pero.
Yeah, the dark dogs, I think it is. or something like that.
Dogs of War.
Dogs of War. Triple threat time. We got the first NWA TNA world champion. NWA TNA under the
Yeah.
TNA banner,
Shamrock.
which is Ken Shamrock,
Shamrock.
versus the first TNA world heavyweight champion,
Kurt
which is
Angle.
Kurt Angle, versus the first Impact Wrestling world heavyweight champion,
Bobby.
which is Bobby Lashley.
Yeah.
Oh, Bobby Kurt Ken.
Good
Oh,
match.
MMA.
Yeah,
match.
yeah.
Both Kurt.
Kurt Angle will go over. Even if he was that Kurt that we saw.
They
in
all
the
know,
Victory
God, Jesus. And Nick Gage, Kurt.
Nick Gage.
I like the fact that TNA, though, have been seemingly, whenever they have a new belt, they give it to an MMA bloke.
And the Dudleys.
Right, main event, first ever Universal Champ, Finn. This is first ever Hardcore Champ, Mankind.
Wow,
I know.
that was pretty random. But
Well, it maybe, he's Raw.
Mm.
He could have had this match.
No,
on
it's
Raw.
GM.
Could have
GM.
made it if he wanted.
Finn v. Mankind.
Did Mankind, and he was Tramp Mick Foley, so, he would have
Trevor.
Tramp Foley, he was trampish, wasn't he? Have a shave, mate. I'll put over Mankind.
Well, my main event is a triple threat match.
Oh,
It
no,
is-
you're doing what I'm doing here. Go on.
I know where you've gone WC, WWE, WWF to ECW. I haven't. I've gone first WWF champion, which is Buddy Rogers,
Yeah.
versus first WCW world
Ah.
champion, which is Ric Flair,
Yeah.
versus the first WWE world champion.
Hulk Hogan.
No, WWE world the world champion in
the world
WWE.
heavyweight.
That's the problem. It's the world champion in WWE.
WWE World.
Big
Heavyweight
gold belt.
Champion.
Triple H.
Triple H. Because I think there's almost like a natural lineage.
Yeah.
Buddy Rogers was taken over by Flair, who was taken over by Triple H, kind of, in the ether.
Who got took over by Seth?
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Rick. Because Ric Flair is the champion of champions, isn't he, really? Let's
Well,
face
I've got a triple threat. It's the first WWF champion, Buddy Rogers, versus the first WWF
it,
champion,
which is Hogan.
which is Bob Backlund.
Bob Backlund.
Oh, was he?
Versus the first WWE champion, which was Hulk
Hulk
Hogan.
Hogan, because that was
Which
in
is
two-
amazing. I love
Hulk
that.
Hogan.
WWE started in 2002. Hogan.
That is mentally.
I love
when you
that.
think of
I wish he was first WWF champ because I'd have had him v.
Rogers v Hogan v Hogan.
Yeah.
And everyone going, don't work for me,
Yeah.
brother.
That's
Hogan's
beautiful.
winning, obviously, because it's Hogan.
Yeah.
Sure not.
I like how
fucking slam Bob and Buddy.
I like how we've got you've got you.
Bob to lose to Hogan. That's
you-
what he wanted, didn't he?
If you ask world champions, you think Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, and then Mick Foley randomly with the best
Hardcore
champion of
child.
all is the hardcore child.
Well, that was the first match I come up with.
But if you believe you could have added to the mix with champions of the past, let us know again on at BCC Pod on Twitter, or facebook.com/BCC Pod, or our website, which is bettercallcreative.com. That, I promise you, is our last podcast in August as we record this on the 27th. However, we will be now heading into September. And in the month of September, we have a pay-per-view review of Fall Brawl 1996 with fake stings and all. I'm going to struggle with that. Imagine a double heaping of sting. I've got in the main event.
Jet Farmer.
Yes, exactly.
That was this NWOV.
Yeah, it's the first one.
Which is considered to be a decent one, but I just want to see how we get around the NWO. Some of the undercards.
I can't remember any of the rest of the show.
I know that, some of it isn't great. I think we have the breakup of Fire and Ice.
Okay.
Yes.
The right Mongo is
and that's
on this.
I think Mongo is on the undercard because I love how the Four Horsemen was built up to fight the NWO, but as soon as they got rid of Mongo.
Mongo and Ben Wyatt was just flaring around, which you could kind of understand. It was WCW,
but we will be doing a deep dive into that, and to honour, as we said we would, our winner of the worst 90s gimmick, we're going to be reviewing the career of Chaz Warrington, better known as Mosh, or better forgotten as Beaver Cleavage. So we're going to be going through his whole career because there's not a podcast in just Beaver Cleavage. But yeah, we're going to be checking out some flying nuns. We're going to be checking out when there were the spiders. We're going to be checking out
domestic violence.
We're going to be checking out 1997 random title run with the Headbangers, and we have already mentioned it, but we will be checking out Strange's 2016 return of Headbangers on SmackDown.
Is it the WWE, the Tag Team Champions of the Universe, or they had that gimmick?
We'll get that.
Just the toilet.
We'll get that as well.
Right.
And we will be back for a Wrestle Cup as well of worst wrestling games, which we thankfully have already done. In the month of September. But join us back then. But it leaves me to say from the pre-show, Jack Chance.
Goodbye.
And from the I'm not watching the pre-show, Sam Chance.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, folks.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money.
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar. Cheating, cheating, bling, bling, with the chatter. You ain't talking money, then you're talking no matter. Cheating, cheating, bling, bling, patting pockets. You take the dollar, dollar, can a damn soul stop it. Here comes the new kid on the block. Hold on, your bets, here's where the buck stops. See, first of all, I'm stepping out on my own. About time I elevated to claim my own throne. Success in my blood, call it homegrown. Puerto Rican testosterone. Power and money got me crazy cocky. No longer need you, Poppy. I know you're mad because you can't stop me. And if you wonder how this player done scooped your honey, I think she smell my cologne, it's called brand new money. Making major moves, man, ain't a damn thing funny. Pimpin' hood rats, the Playboy bunnies. They see the... They see it, they see it. Say what? Money.